Chapter 2170. If it were any other time, Yang Ming and the others might be very excited, but now, everyone's first thought was to deal with Elder Yu, and they couldn't help here, so everyone's thoughts were naturally gone. Let's continue with our original plan. Yang Ming said, but Yezi, you have a life-saving trump card. After going back, I'm going to put the jade pendant on E. Lu Yezi said solemnly, I am afraid that she's in danger now. E was slightly taken aback. She quickly shook her head and said, this can't be done. This jade pendant is yours, and it is used to save your life. I'm not going to fight the enemy. Why do you want to give it to me? I have Jin Gangu to protect me. There is no problem, said Lu Yezi. Doesn't Elder Yu have the powder to crack Jin Gangu? E shook her head. Although the powder can crack Jin Gangu, it only makes the Jin Gangu's person weak, but the Jin Gangu is still there. It just temporarily loses the ability to move. Lu Yezi said, but it can't kill me. But since Elder Yu has the powder to crack Jin Gangu, you can't guarantee that he has other ways to make Jin Gangu completely ineffective. E said, no, I don't want this jade pendant anyway. Well, Yezi, although your jade pendant can't transmit a signal to the flying saucer when your teammates are in danger and let the flying saucer save you in time, you can use the jade pendant's spiritual transmission to understand the danger your friends are in. You can save them in time. Sun Sikong said, so wearing the jade pendant on you is more effective than wearing it on others. I see. Lu Yezi thought about it. If he is in danger, I can still sense it. Although the flying saucer can't receive the signal, can I rescue her? If I am in danger in front of E, it will still attract the flying saucer. Then, if I hold E, won't we be taken away by the flying saucer together? Thinking of this, Lu Yezi nodded. After all, E was not a fighter, and she was not in much danger. However, he was most familiar with the jade pendant. When he wore it, he could sense the safety of his teammates at any time. By the way, Grandpa's son, since you're so powerful, can you help Brother Lin get rid of the Herculean voodoo if he takes it? Yang Ming suddenly asked. This? I can't. Sun Sikong shook his head and said, as I said before, voodoo is a very profound knowledge. It is a different direction from the science and technology one study. When you were studying voodoo, I also studied it, but there was no progress. This is not what I am good at. I see. Yang Ming was a little disappointed. All right, Yang Ming, you don't have to study it anymore. I've already decided to take it, so just let me take it. Anyway, it's not necessarily a bad thing to stay here. When the time comes, don't you want your grandson to stay with me? Then I won't be lonely anymore. Lin Dongfang said. Little master, do you plan to let your child stay? Mo Kongwan was stunned when he heard Lin Dongfang's words. That's right. Firstly, it's to let him accompany father-in-law. Secondly, it's to let him gain experience. Lu Yezi said, boys need to gain experience. Isn't this my father's consistent point of view? This is but... Mo Kongwan was a little hesitant. But what? Lu Yezi asked, does father want me to take the child back? Little master, you also know that your father has a lot of cultivation mantras, but when he met you, you had already missed the best aid for cultivation. You didn't have a good foundation from the moment you were born, so you can only cultivate some cultivation mantras to strengthen your body. This is the same as your grandparents. Although you can live a long life, you don't have much attack power. Mo Kongwan explained, so Martial Uncle hopes that you can take your child back and let him cultivate from a young age so that he can become a very powerful person. Mo Kongwan explained, so Martial Uncle hopes that you can take your child back and let him cultivate from a young age so that he can become a very powerful person. Mo Kongwan's words made Lu Yezi silent. It was true that his father had a lot of cultivation mantras. His father's early experience was very strange. He encountered aliens, so he obtained a lot of precious information, including some martial arts mantras that had been passed down from ancient times that had been extinct. However, there were restrictions on cultivation. It must be supplemented with medicine. The foundation had to be laid from the moment of birth, which was the so-called foundation. If the foundation was not laid, then he could not cultivate. He could only cultivate some ordinary cultivation mantras to strengthen his body and prolong his life. Lu Yezi did not live with his father when he was young because of some things, so he could not cultivate the powerful mantras that his father spoke of. Now, it was understandable that his father wanted his grandson to cultivate them. Then, can't he cultivate here? Lu Yezi naturally couldn't bear to let Lin Dongfang be alone here, so he asked. It's not impossible, but this mantra is quite unique. If no one is supervising and guiding him, it is easy to go berserk. Moreover, haste makes waste. If you are too greedy, it is likely to make mistakes. And here, Mr. Lin Dongfang does not understand these things. When the time comes, if there is a problem with his cultivation, it will be difficult to handle. Mo Kongwen explained. So it's like this. Lu Yezi was a little disappointed, but he still asked unwillingly, then, can you leave someone to supervise or guide his cultivation? Or, can you think a way to let him cultivate step by step? How about this? I will ask Granduncle Master and then reply to you. Is that okay? Mo Kongwen hesitated and said, Okay, then you ask for instructions first. Lu Yezi said, If you can't do it, then I will do it. I don't believe that if I act coquettishly and roll on the ground, Father will not agree. Sun Sikong and Mo Kongwen were speechless at the same time. Yang Ming, and others almost burst out laughing. After a small gathering with Sun Sikong and Mo Kongwen, Yang Ming and others were also ready to leave. Since they couldn't find a good way here, they could only follow the original plan and let Lin Dongfang take the vigor voodoo. By the way, although we can't help you deal with Elder Yu, we have a communication device here that can contact the outside world. Do you want to contact the outside world? Sun Sikong suddenly thought of something when Yang Ming and others were about to leave and said quickly. Chapter 2171. You can contact the outside world? That's great. Yang Ming was stunned and then said happily. He had been here for so long, but he hadn't contacted his family to report his safety. So, this time, there was an opportunity. How could Yang Ming let it go easily? Of course, the one who was even more excited was Lu Tianqi. When he heard that he could contact the outside world, the muscles on his face started to tremble. He was too excited. He wanted to immediately call his parents and tell them that he and Xiao Jing were fine. They were still alive and safe. Yes, there is a signal shield in this valley, but my technology here can pass through the shield and make a call. There is no problem. Sun Sikong said, although we can't help in dealing with Elder Yu, if you want to contact the outside world, you can do it at any time. Yang Ming nodded. Indeed, Elder Yu is invulnerable. Even a bomb might not hurt him. Sun Sikong's alien technology might not be Elder Yu's opponent, because Elder Yu couldn't be judged with common sense at this moment. If they could defeat Elder Yu with just some weapons, Lan Ling's Lan Miao village wouldn't have spent so much effort to refine the Herculean voodoo. Moreover, Sun Sikong only had such a flying saucer without any attack ability. It looked like it was only the size of 2 cars. It was too difficult for him to deal with Elder Yu. So, after Yang Ming mentioned it once, he didn't mention it again. Where is it? Is it in the flying saucer? Asked Yang Ming. Not in the flying saucer, but in the cave here. Sun Sikong said, In the cave, I made a simple base to monitor your movements. Ugh. Then you won't see anything that others shouldn't see, right? Asked Yang Ming. Of course not. This device has an automatic filtering function. I can't see these. Sun Sikong also sweated and said, We are just checking your safety. We won't monitor your privacy. I'm just asking casually. Yang Ming saw that Sun Sikong was formal, so he naturally knew that he wouldn't do such a thing. Several people followed Sun Sikong into the cave. The space in the cave wasn't big, only a few square meters. There was a row of work tables neatly placed with some monitors on them. Not far from the tables, there were 2 beds. Obviously, this was where Sun Sikong and Mo Kongwen rested. The working environment here could be said to be simple and crude. There was no decoration. It was just a workshop. This was also a temporary foothold built by Sun Sikong to monitor everyone's safety. He didn't intend to work here for a long time. It's here. Sun Sikong pointed to a telephone-like communication device and said, This can bypass the signal shield and talk directly. You could talk now. Who wants to go first? Lu Qianqi was eager to try, but he was embarrassed to be the first one to make the call, so he turned to look at Yang Ming. Yang Ming was anxious in his heart, but he wasn't as anxious as Lu Qianqi, so he smiled and said, Brother Lu, you should go first. You haven't contacted your family for many years. Godfather and godmother must be worried about you. Then, I won't be polite. Lu Qianqi nodded and looked at the phone on the table. With a trembling hand, he dialed the phone number that he had repeated thousands of times in his heart. Soon, the phone was connected. Lu Weishan's vigorous and powerful voice came from the other side. Although he was a little depressed, he still sounded very hale and hearty. Hello, I'm Lu Weishan, said Lu Weishan. Dad. After sobbing for a long time, Lu Qianqi finally said this word. Yes, he had been suppressing his emotions for too long, so it took him a long time to say such an incomplete sentence. When Lu Weishan heard this familiar voice, he was slightly stunned at first. Then he was surprised and happy. His voice became a little trembling. You are Qianqi. Dad, it's me. It's me. Lu Qianqi said with a sob. It's me. Dad, are you okay? Good. Qianqi, this is great. After so many years, there is finally news of you. Lu Weishan was very happy. His voice changed. How about Xiao Jing? Is Xiao Jing okay? She is also very good. We are all very good. Lu Qianqi said, Dad, is Mom okay? She's also very good. Her body is good. Lu Weishan said, Where are you? What happened in these years? I am still in Miaojiang. I still have a task to complete. After I finish it, I will go back. You don't have to worry about me. Lu Qianqi said, You don't have to worry about me here. As for other things, I will tell you when I go back. There are still people waiting to call here. Time is precious. Let's not talk about it first. Wait, you haven't talked to your mother? Lu Weishan said, I will call her. You wait. Old woman, come quickly. Our son is calling. Lu Qianqi was helpless, but there was no way. He could only wait for his mother to pick up the phone. However, on the other side of the phone, his mother's voice came from afar and said, Who is it? Yang Ming called. It's not Big Ming, it's Qianqi. Right? Qianqi, why did you think of calling me? When Lu Weishan was asked by her, he suddenly remembered that Lu Qianqi called him. How was Yang Ming? Who was the one who found Lu Qianqi and asked him to call home? Taking advantage of this time, Yang Ming took the phone and smiled. Godfather, I am here. I am with Brother Lu. You don't have to worry about me. We have already met up. We are completing the last task together. Ha, good. Lu Weishan heard Yang Ming's voice and said good 3 times. One was his biological son, and the other was his godson. They were both safe and sound. This was his biggest comfort. These days, besides worrying about Lu Tianqi's whereabouts, he was also worried about Yang Ming. This time, his heart could finally be at ease. However, before Lu Weishan finished his words, Lu Weishan's wife took over and said hurriedly, Tianqi, is that you? Godmother, it's me, Yang Ming. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. It's Big Ming. I was talking about you. Your godfather is old and confused. He actually said that it was Qianqi who called. I think he has been worried about you recently. Lu Weishan's wife, Aunt Shu, complained. Sweat. Yang Ming heard his godmother's words and suddenly sweated. Chapter 2172. It's not like that. Godfather is right. It was indeed Brother Lu who was talking on the phone just now. I just took advantage of this gap and said a few words to him. Godmother, I will change it to Brother Lu immediately. Yang Ming said quickly. Aunt Shu was stunned suddenly. She said in disbelief, Really? Yang Ming, don't lie to me. Of course it's true. Yang Ming said with a smile. Didn't I say it before? Although the purpose of coming to Miaojiang this time was to perform a mission, it was also to find Brother Lu. Brother Lu was found, so he called you. After Aunt Shu heard Yang Ming's words, she couldn't help but cry. For so many years, she had been waiting for news. Even if it was news of death, it would make these 2 old people feel better. Otherwise, if there was no news of life or death, they wouldn't be able to see the person alive and the corpse, which would make them feel uneasy. Big Ming, Did you really see your brother, Tianqi? Aunt Chu was so excited that she didn't know what to say. Hee, let him talk to you personally. Yang Ming handed the phone to Lu Tianqi, who was eager to try. Mom, it's me. I'm fine. Little Jing is also fine, and my godbrother is also fine. We are all together. Lu Tianqi also said very excitedly, Mom, don't worry. As soon as our mission here is over, I will go back. There are not many opportunities to call here. There is such an opportunity by chance. Others are still waiting. I won't talk about it first. Everything will wait until I go back. Lu Tianqi was also afraid that if they stayed in the cave for too long, they would be discovered by the helicopter sent by Elder Yu. Although this possibility was not high, Elder Yu was not interested in their every trip to the valley, and he would not send a helicopter to search the valley, but there was nothing wrong with being careful. Okay, as long as I know that you are safe, it is my biggest comfort. Aunt Chu said, I am so happy. Then your dad and I will wait for you and Big Ming to come back. You have to be careful and support each other. Don't worry, Mom. I have a good relationship with Yang Ming. We have already become sworn brothers. Even without the relationship between you and Dad, we are still brothers. Lu Tianqi said. That's good. Aunt Chu was relieved after listening to Lu Tianqi's words. Then I won't delay your precious time. You let someone else talk. Okay. Although Lu Tianqi was a little bit reluctant, he was not alone. Xiaojing, Yang Ming, Xia Shui, Feng Tianlong, and Feng Tianlong were all waiting. Lu Tianqi hung up the phone, but Yang Ming didn't fight for it. Instead, he let others call first because he might be the one with the most phone calls. He had to report his safety to his parents, friends, and every woman in the family. It would take a long time, so it wasn't too late for him to call after everyone had finished using their phones. Next, Xia Shui, Lan Ling, Feng Tianlong, and Xiao Susu made a phone call. Xia Shui called Xia Bingbao, and Feng Tianlong and Xiao Susu also called Xia Bingbao, so the three of them only needed to use the phone once. After all, Feng Tianlong had separated from his Feng family. He only had friends in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Xiao Susu had no one else at home, so they could only call Xia Bingbao to tell him that they were safe. Xia Bingbao had no way to deal with everyone's situation. When he learned about Elder Yu's current situation, he had no way. He couldn't blow him up with explosives, right? Even if he was blown up, he might not die. According to Yang Ming, the Jing Gang voodoo could directly crush a boulder with its chest, and it was impervious to fire and water. This was simply abnormal. Therefore, after Xia Bingbao reminded everyone to be careful, he could only cheer for everyone in his heart. As for Lin Dongfang and Yi, they had no relatives at all. However, at the request of Yang Ming, Lin Dongfang personally called Guan Xiumin. He planned to tell Guan Xiumin some things about Shen Yushi's treatment and let Guan Xiumin do it first. At least, Shen Yushi's condition would not worsen. Hello, I am Guan Xiumin. Guan Xiumin's plain voice came from the phone. Guan Xiumin, it's me, Lin Dongfang. Lin Dongfang was a person without any arrogance. He was very easygoing, so he was not arrogant in front of Guan Xiumin. Miracle Dr. Lin, is that you? Is it really you? After Guan Xiumin was slightly stunned, he asked in surprise. After all, Guan Xiumin had been guided by Lin Dongfang in his early years. Just once, he benefited a lot. Guan Xiumin wanted to call himself a disciple, but he was afraid that Lin Dongfang would feel that it was inappropriate, so he could only call Lin Dongfang Miracle Dr. Lin. It's me, I am now with Yang Ming. This guy wants me to call you and talk about the condition of his confidant. Lin Dongfang teased Yang Ming. Although Lin Dongfang already knew about the situation between Yang Ming and Shen Yushi, his character was like this. Okay, Miracle Dr. Lin, I am all ears, Guan Xiumin said quickly. Although he was treating Shen Yushi, Lin Dongfang's words could give Guan Xiumin a lot of inspiration. If he encountered a similar condition in the future, it would be easy to solve it. Lin Dongfang told Guan Xiumin some conservative treatment methods, including some prescriptions and the like. Guan Xiumin was very excited when he heard it. Although the two of them were not master and disciple, they were more than master and disciple. At least in Guan Xiumin's heart, He respected Lin Dongfang as a teacher. Thank you for your guidance, Miracle Dr. Lin. I understand. I will follow these instructions. Guan Xuemin recorded the prescriptions and treatment methods as if he had obtained a treasure. It's nothing. If there is a chance, I will discuss medicine with you again. Lin Dongfang was a little emotional. In this life, he was afraid that he would not be able to leave West Star Mountain Village. Discussing medicine with Guan Xuemin had become an unfulfilled promise. However, he couldn't tell Guan Xuemin about these things now. Okay, Miracle Dr. Lin, I'm looking forward to it. Guan Xuemin said, Oh yeah, Yang Ming, do you want to talk to Yushi? I will give the phone to her. Okay. Yang Ming hesitated for a moment and took the phone. It had been so long. He didn't know how Shun Yushi was doing. To be honest, Yang Ming's feelings for Shun Yushi were more of love and pity than good feelings. However, good feelings were sometimes mysterious. After a lot of contact, there would naturally be good feelings. After not seeing Shun Yushi for a while, Yang Ming would really think of her. Chapter 2173. Speaking of it, Shun Yushi was also a pitiful child. Her background was somewhat low, but Yang Ming had never looked down on her because Yang Ming's previous family was not necessarily better than Shun Yushi's family. His father was an ordinary workshop worker, and his mother was a laid-off female worker who did temporary cleaning work. How similar was this to Shun Yushi's family? Therefore, Yang Ming would not look down on Shun Yushi, nor would he think that she liked him because she wanted to climb up the social ladder. After all, every girl hoped that her future boyfriend would be an accomplished person. In fact, if one looked at it carefully, how similar were Shun Yushi's and Lin Jiyun's backgrounds. Both of them belonged to the kind of girls who were somewhat stubborn but somewhat introverted. Yang Ming saw Lin Jiyun's shadow in her, so he took special care of her. In the end, Yang Ming's good impression of her might come partly from his good impression of Lin Jiyun. Come to think of it, if Wang Jitao's scheme was not in the hotel room, and Lin Jiyun was not in a coma, then the ending might be similar to Shun Yushi's. With Lin Jiyun's character, she might have jumped off the building. However, due to a strange combination of circumstances, the fates of the two people were very different. When Yang Ming recalled this matter, sometimes he would feel emotional, so he also took special care of Shun Yushi. Qin Mingyan and others knew about this matter, but they also acquiesced to Yang Ming's approach. After all, they also felt that Shun Yushi was a pitiful person. After picking up the phone, Yang Ming heard Shun Yushi's excited voice. Yang Ming. Ming, is that you? She seemed to not believe that Yang Ming actually called her. And it's me, Yushi. How are you recently? Yang Ming asked with a smile. I'm very good. Shun Yushi's heart was in a mess. She was really surprised that Yang Ming called her because Yang Ming said before that he was going to perform a mission and couldn't contact the outside world. This time, I found a way to treat your leg. I have told Dr. Guan some of the things that he can do. I will treat the rest personally when I go back. I have learned medical skills. Yang Ming said. Then you can't come back now? Shun Yushi thought that Yang Ming had completed his mission. Not yet. The things here are not done yet. Yang Ming said, I called you to tell you that I have found a way to cure you. Don't be discouraged. So that you can help me manage the company. And after Shun Yushi listened to Yang Ming's words, her eyes lit up with hope again. Although Yang Ming said before that he would definitely find a way to cure her legs, Shun Yushi was happy at that time, but she also understood that this was an unattainable dream. As for Yang Ming's promise that she could help him manage the business in his company in the future, it was something that Shun Yushi didn't even dare to think about. But now, Yang Ming told her personally that there was a way to cure her legs. This made Shun Yushi's heart finally feel at ease. Well, let's not talk about it first. Time is limited. I have to call Meng Yin and the others. Let's talk about everything when I go back. Yang Ming said. Okay. You haven't called Sister Meng Yin and the others yet? Shun Yushi's eyes suddenly flashed with a strange look. He cares about me. He didn't even call Chun Meng Yin, but he called me first. In an instant, a little happiness rose in Shun Yushi's heart. She couldn't help but be a little dazed. Not yet. I'm about to call. Yushi? After Yang Ming finished speaking, there was no answer from the other side of the phone. He was slightly stunned. Ah, nothing. Okay, goodbye. Shen Yushi was afraid that Yang Ming would see through her thoughts. She accidentally hung up the phone in a panic. She immediately regretted it. How can I be so stupid? I should have heard Yang Ming say goodbye to me, right? Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't think much about it before. After all, Yang Ming couldn't see Shen Yushi's expression through the phone. However, when Shen Yushi panicked, Yang Ming immediately guessed her thoughts. However, since Yang Ming guessed it, then he guessed it. Just let her misunderstand. Being happier is also good for her body. What Shen Yushi didn't know was that this phone call was actually made by Lin Dongfang. Yang Ming just took the opportunity to say a few words. After hanging up the phone, Yang Ming directly dialed the phone number of his villa. Hello, who are you looking for? Today it was Sun Jie's turn to clean up. Just as she finished cleaning up the living room, the phone rang. Sun Jie picked up the phone. Generally, it was either Bao Sanli, Zhang Bin, or Tian Donghua who called, so it was the same whoever answered the phone. When Yang Ming heard this familiar voice, he couldn't help but be stunned. This voice, he was too familiar with it. Isn't this Sun Jie's voice? However, the phone number that I dialed was obviously the phone number of my villa. How could Sun Jie run to my villa? Of course, even if Sun Jie went to the villa as a guest, it was possible. However, it was a bit impossible for her to answer the phone as a guest. Sun Jie wasn't that kind of rude person, right? Therefore, for a moment, Yang Ming even thought that he had hung up the wrong phone number. He looked at Sun Sikong suspiciously, but then he shook his head. The high-tech invented by Sun Sikong could even make X-ray glasses. This phone wouldn't be so broken that it could make a serial call. Hello, who is it? If you don't want to talk, I will hang up. Sun Jie thought it was a harassment call. She listened for a long time and wanted to hang up the phone. Don't hang up. Yang Ming quickly regained his senses and said, Hey, it's you? Sun Jie blinked and put the receiver of the phone in front of her ear. She even suspected that she had heard it wrong. Why does it sound like Yang Ming's voice? Little Jie, why are you here? Yang Ming's next question completely solved Sun Jie's doubts because if he asked this question, it must be Yang Ming. Yang Ming? It's you? Is it really you? Sun Jie was a little surprised. In the past 6 months, although everyone didn't say anything and seemed to be living happily together every day, in fact, everyone was avoiding a topic at the same time. That was the progress of Yang Ming's mission. Because there was no news of Yang Ming, the women didn't want to talk about this topic to avoid making everyone unhappy. However, in everyone's heart, they were always thinking about Yang Ming. This also made the people, who were not very harmonious at first, become harmonious because of the common concern. In the past half a year, everyone had really integrated together. Chapter 2174. Of course, all of this was the result of a strange combination of circumstances. Because Yang Ming was gone, this effect was achieved. If Yang Ming was still here, then the women wouldn't be able to quell the jealousy and resentment in their hearts so easily. They would definitely have a big fight with Yang Ming. But now, everyone didn't have the intention to fight. In their opinion, peace was true happiness. Yang Ming could return safely and live with everyone. Then, the rest wasn't important. In fact, the one who had the biggest knot in her heart was Chun Mingyan. As for Yang Ming's other women, Sun Jie, Xiao Qing, Zhao Ying, and Wang Xiaoyan, they had long known the existence of Chun Mingyan. Even if they lived together, they wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Even Zhou Jie and Lin Jie knew about Xiao Qing, Jing Xiaolu, and Zhao Ying. So, the only person who was kept in the dark was Chun Mingyan. However, Chun Mingyan was indeed Yang Ming's first girlfriend in the true sense. Although the two of them didn't say the final confession during the hazy years of high school, the intimate relationship between the two of them could be said to be almost no different from that of a couple. Especially after the incident at the cinema, the relationship between the two of them had taken another step forward. Thinking about it, such an intimate thing could only happen between lovers. But later, because of some misunderstandings, there was a crack in the relationship between Chun Mingyan and Yang Ming. which also led to the appearance of Lan Ling at this time. To be honest, Chen Mingyan had some regrets and some helplessness at this time. Although Yang Ming was responsible for all of this, her distrust also played a large part, so she couldn't blame Yang Ming. So, she accepted Lin Jiyun and Lan Ling. As for Zhou Jiajia and Suya later, Chen Mingyan was actually a very kind girl. It was just that the sudden appearance of Sun Jia and others made her have a trace of fear and concern, so she couldn't help but explode. But when Sun Jia took the initiative to give up the fight for the real girlfriend, Chen Mingyan's last trace of nervousness in her heart was also put down and accepted everyone. After all, at this time, whether to accept or not wasn't Chen Mingyan's decision. Lan Ling said that everyone was voodoo. Not only was it not easy to get sick, but it could also keep their appearance forever. So, what was wrong with everyone waiting for Yang Ming? Although Zhao Ying didn't have a voodoo, Zhao Ying insisted on staying after hearing this. Then, Chen Mingyan couldn't persuade her to find another happiness, right? That would seem like Chen Mingyan deliberately. Therefore, after this time of run-in, everyone had become tacit. If Yang Ming saw such a scene, he would probably be happy. When Sun Jia picked up Yang Ming's phone call, she naturally thought of this. However, she didn't want Yang Ming to enjoy the fruits of her labor for no reason. She finally sorted out the relationship with all the women. For this, she even gave up the position of the main concubine in the harem. She couldn't let Yang Ming take advantage of it. At least, she had to let him know that it wasn't easy to get it. Thinking of this, Sun Jia also thought of an excuse and was ready to scare Yang Ming. "It's me, Shao Jia. Why are you in my house? Where are Mingyan and the others?" Yang Ming asked somewhat strangely. "They were driven out by me. Now, your harem is only left with me, Qing, and Zhao Ying. The others were driven out by us." Sun Jia said faintly. Driven out?" Yang Ming was suddenly shocked. His face showed a look of horror. "Shao Jia, what are you talking about? Why did you drive them away? Where are they now?" Your matter was exposed. Someone sent a stack of photos to Chen Mingyan. They were photos of you, me, Qing, Zhao Ying, Jing Xiaolu, and others together. There were also photos taken at the hotel. They were all very intimate. So, after Chen Mingyan saw these photos, she called us to come over and settle accounts with us. Sun Jia said, "What? Someone sent photos to her? And she also called all of you?" Yang Ming's forehead had a trace of cold sweat. He secretly complained in his heart. Yang Ming knew Sun Jia's character. Sun Jia had already said that if Chen Mingyan didn't provoke her, then everyone wouldn't interfere with each other. However, if Chen Mingyan suppressed her with the status of a legitimate girlfriend, she definitely wouldn't be bullied like this. Moreover, Yang Ming knew Sun Jia's means. How could Chen Mingyan be her opponent? If what Sun Jia said was true, then Chen Mingyan and others were driven out of the villa by Sun Jia. That was really possible. After all, Chen Mingyan wasn't Sun Jia's opponent. Maybe she left angrily under Sun Jia's pressure. Thinking of this, Yang Ming suddenly had a big headache. "What is this? I just left not long ago, and such a thing happened. It's simply killing me." "Yeah, your legitimate girlfriend questioned me and Zhao Ying when she came. Of course, I couldn't stand it, so I pushed them a little, and they all left. I occupied the villa." Sun Jia looked at Chen Mingyan and others who were attracted by the phone call and were walking over here. She blinked her eyes. Chen Mingyan heard Sun Jia scream before. Naturally, she guessed that the call was from Yang Ming. Later, when she heard Sun Jia intimidating Yang Ming, she couldn't help but laugh, but she didn't expose it. In fact, although she was relieved, she also had the same idea as Sun Jia. She didn't want Yang Ming to get such a big advantage, so she wanted to intimidate him. Sun Jia was just the right person to do this. If she answered the phone just now, she couldn't act so realistically. Maybe she would have blurted out the truth. So Chen Mingyan walked to Sun Jia's side and listened with a smile. God. Yang Ming was really a little dumbfounded. How could Chen Mingyan be Sun Jia's opponent? If she said it nicely, maybe Sun Jia wouldn't care about it. But if she questioned her, then Sun Jia wasn't easy to bully. How could she just let it go? So Yang Ming was really a little helpless at the moment. Who is so wicked? Did he send the photos to me after I left? However, Yang Ming's mind suddenly flashed a figure. He frowned and asked, "Little Jia, do you know who sent the photo?" "Of course, I didn't know at the beginning, but after my investigation, these photos were sent by your good senior, Dong Jun." Sun Jie didn't hide it from Yang Ming. This Dong Jun was still Yang Ming's great benefactor. If he didn't send these photos at such a timely time, the girls wouldn't have reconciled so easily. Sure enough, it's him. After Yang Ming listened to Sun Jie's words, there was no doubt. Chapter 2175. Because it was impossible for Sun Jie to know that Yang Ming and elder you were talking about, Dong Jun. They must have thought that Dong Jun and Yang Ming were on the same side. But now that Sun Jie said so, it must be true about this photo. In Yang Ming's opinion, only his senior brother, Dong Jun, could quietly follow him and take a photo. Although Dong Jun did not learn the skills of those assassins, he learned lightness skills from Fong Tian. It could be said that Dong Jun's lightness skills were not below Yang Ming's. It was even better than Yang Ming before he learned the butterfly micro-steps. After all, Dong Jun was a master thief. A master thief could not do without powerful lightness skills. Dong Jun debuted so many years earlier than Yang Ming. It was normal for his lightness skills to be better than Yang Ming's. Yang Ming was in the open while Dong Jun was in the dark. It was easy to secretly take a photo of Yang Ming. Therefore, for this matter, except for Dong Jun, Yang Ming really couldn't think of anyone else who could do this without him being aware of it. Moreover, only Dong Jun, the enemy, would do such a time-consuming thing. As for others, Yang Ming really couldn't think of anyone who would do such a boring thing. After all, if he wanted to take all the photos of him dating all the women, it wouldn't be done in a short period of time. Unless the person had a lot of patience, and at the same time, they must also have a lot of skills. In conclusion, Dong Jun was the only one who fit this criteria. In Yang Ming's view, Dong Jun's patience was very strong. For so many years, Dong Jun had been lurking around Fong Tian without showing any flaws. This patience was not comparable to ordinary people. Moreover, not only that, Dong Jun also had a hatred with Yang Ming. Only he could do this kind of thing, but what was the purpose of him doing this? As Yang Ming thought of this, he couldn't help but have a flash of inspiration in his mind. He suddenly thought of a possibility. That was perhaps this photo was not as simple as sending it to Chen Mingyan. Thinking of this, Yang Ming's heart suddenly had a realization. You know it's him? Sun Jie was a little surprised. She didn't expect that not only was Yang Ming not shocked, but he had a clear look as if things were supposed to be like this. This made Sun Jie very curious. You seem to have guessed that it was him? Hee, I guessed it long ago. Yang Ming said faintly. If I'm not mistaken, this senior of mine, Dong Jun, probably wants to send these photos to Mingyan before I leave. Then, you want to cause trouble in my backyard and delay my schedule so that I can't come to Miaojiang to carry out the mission? You actually guessed it. Sun Jie was even more surprised. These things had been confirmed from Dong Jun's mouth, but Yang Ming, who was far away in Miaojiang, could actually say it. This made Sun Jie curious. How did he judge it? Yes, I guessed it. I guessed a long time ago, Yang Ming said, and there was a trace of bitterness in his smile. I always knew that he wanted to deal with me, but I didn't expect that before I left he still had such a move. Sigh. I really underestimated him, but I really don't understand. Why was he half a beat slower? Why did this thing happen after I left? It is said that he was delayed by the courier company, otherwise he would have received it long ago, said Sun Jie. Sigh, originally I planned to let him go, but he created such a big trouble for me. How should I deal with him? Yang Ming sighed. This Dong Jun, it seems that he still doesn't know how to repent. If my backyard is set on fire because of him, then I will just kill him when I go back. Sun Jie wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say it. Some things were better to let Yang Ming and Fong Tian communicate in person. She didn't need to pass this message. Since Yang Ming could call her, he would definitely call Fong Tian. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Little Jia, you know what I am most worried about. I came to Miaojiang to carry out the mission this time. The only thing I am worried about is my family and friends. And you? the people I love the most. And Sun Jie didn't answer, but just snorted. Little Jie, I know that you are a reasonable person. You're also my good wife. You know that if the matter between you and Ming Yin is not resolved, I will not be at ease, so... Yang Ming couldn't continue speaking as he spoke until here. He could only pause for a moment. So what? Asked Sun Jie. So, you can accommodate her. Can you give in to her? I really don't want you to quarrel. I hope that you can get along peacefully. What do you think? Yang Ming could only bite the bullet and say it. Get along peacefully? Do you think is possible? Sun Jie still didn't answer Yang Ming's words directly and asked, This? Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, I also know this is not possible. You are a strong girl, and Ming Yin is my official girlfriend that I personally promised. And you, Sai, little Jie, can you suffer first? I will compensate you after I go back. Compensate? How do you compensate? Sun Jie held back her smile and asked with a straight face, Why should I be wronged? Why don't you let others be wronged? Compensate? How do you want to compensate? Yang Ming didn't know how to compensate, so he could only ask Sun Jie herself. If I won't do it. Sun Jie snorted and said, I won't be wronged. If I want to be wronged, let Sister Ming Yin and the others be wronged. Yang Ming just sighed, but suddenly he was stunned again. Sister Ming Yin? What did you call her? Yeah. Sun Jie didn't expect that she actually blurted it out. During this time, she called Chun Ming Yin as Sister Ming Yin, but she accidentally blurted it out. However, Sun Jie also secretly thought that Yang Ming's intuition was too sharp. He could find the problem at once. This little man had finally grown up. He was no longer the little boy who had to ask her for advice on everything. He had matured and could hold up the sky, and she no longer had to worry about him. It was enough for her to stay behind him with peace of mind and help him deal with the matters at home. Sun Jie's surprise finally made Chun Ming Yin, and the others couldn't help it. It wasn't known who laughed first. Then everyone couldn't help but laugh until they died. Yang Ming listened to the laughter on the phone, and his heart suddenly relaxed. It seems that my guess is not wrong. Sun Jie and Ming Yin should be together, and they get along very well. Sun Jie just wanted to scare me, but she accidentally blurted it out first. Chapter 2176. Ming Yin and the others are all here? Are you using the speakerphone? Yang Ming listened to the laughter on the other side of the phone, and there was a feeling of happiness in his heart. They actually get along well, and they live under the same roof? If we weren't worried about you, and were afraid that something would happen to you, do you think we can be so united? Well, since you have heard it, then let our harem master, Sister Ming Yin, talk to you. After Sun Jie said this, she couldn't help but laugh. Moreover, she did use the speakerphone because Sun Jie saw Chun Ming Yin and the others coming over, so she automatically switched to the speakerphone to let them hear Yang Ming's embarrassed look. She believed that everyone was a little unhappy that Yang Ming could sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' work. Now that she scared him like this, everyone's heart was comfortable. In the future, they would not make things difficult for Yang Ming because of this matter. In fact, Sun Jie did this for the overall consideration. She was a smart person and knew how to deal with this matter. If she didn't make this joke, even if Chun Ming Yin and the others came to pick up the phone, even if they didn't say anything, after everyone knew that Yang Ming was safe and sound, they wouldn't be as happy as before. However, Sun Jie's acting made everyone feel better. It also made Yang Ming suffer some punishment, so he could understand everyone's painstaking efforts. What harem master? Sister Sun Jie, didn't we agree that we would discuss and make decisions together? Chun Ming Yin was a little embarrassed. Although this harem master was an empty title, when Sun Jie said this, Chun Ming Yin's heart suddenly surged with a feeling of happiness. It made her feel that there was nothing wrong with accepting Sun Jie and the others. Especially in front of Yang Ming, Sun Jie also said this. In fact, she indicated to Yang Ming that she was willing to give the position to Chun Ming Yin, and she would not compete in the future. It had to be said that Sun Jie's scheming was the most powerful among these women. She resolved conflicts invisibly. Yang Ming was far away on the other side of the phone. At this moment, he also understood some of Sun Jie's intentions. He was very grateful in his heart. If there was no Sun Jie, Chan Mingyan and others would not be able to get along so well. Now, with Sun Jie's words, the relationship between the sisters would be better in the future. Chun Mingyan wouldn't do anything to bully others because of her identity. Yang Ming, I am Mingyan. Don't listen to Sister Sun Jie's nonsense. We are now taking turns to be in charge. Everyone is responsible for everyone's life for a few days. Sister Sun Jie is responsible for these days. She is the master of the harem. Although Chan Mingyan said so, she also understood in her heart that she couldn't escape the identity of the real girlfriend. Since she couldn't escape, she might as well make everyone happy. Yang Ming listened to Chun Mingyan's words and almost burst with joy. Before he left, his biggest unsolved wish was to deal with the relationship between these women properly. He didn't expect that after he left, Dong Jun added fuel to the fire and helped him a lot. Thinking about it, the women were worried about his safety. It was impossible for them to quarrel endlessly. After the quarrel, with Sun Jie's mediation, it wouldn't be a problem for everyone to be united. Thinking of this, Yang Ming's heart was sincerely grateful to Sun Jie. She is really a good helper for me. Yang Ming really wanted to laugh a few times and jump on the ground. Mingyan, thank you for your understanding. Thank you. I am really grateful. Yang Ming said happily. He was happy from the bottom of his heart. The biggest knot in his heart was untied, so Yang Ming could wait here to fight with Elder Yu without any worries. Grateful. If it weren't because we were afraid that you would be worried about your family's affairs while performing a mission outside, do you think we could let you go so easily? Qin Mingyan said, if it weren't for Sister Sun Jie's generosity, you would be in trouble. Haha, I know that you're the most tolerant. I'm very happy to know that you are all very harmonious. I will definitely rush back as soon as possible and meet up with you all. Yang Ming said happily, Mingyan, you can rest assured. I will not let you all down in my life. Now it's not the problem of you letting us down. It's that we don't want you yet. Chun Mingyan snorted and said, we are living happily together now. We feel that it is the same with or without you. Ugh. Yang Ming suddenly broke into a sweat. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mingyan, don't say that. Aren't you discouraging me by saying this? At that time, I will just fight to the death with the enemy. Anyway, I have nothing to worry about. Don't. I am joking with you. Chun Mingyan was shocked and quickly changed her words. Yang Ming, I am just joking with you. Don't take it seriously. Everyone is looking forward to your return. Actually, I'm also joking. Yang Ming smiled. Okay, you lied to me. Chun Mingyan realized that she was deceived by Yang Ming. It seemed that she was still too inexperienced. Her deceiving skills were not as good as Sun Jie's. At least Sun Jie did scare Yang Ming before, but now she didn't deceive Yang Ming. This way, I know your intention. Isn't that good? Yang Ming asked instead. Well, I won't talk to you anymore. Let Sister Lin and the others talk to you. Chun Mingyan glanced at the women who were all looking forward to it. She couldn't help but shake her head. Sometimes, as the master of the harem, it was also a bit of a headache. At this time, she had to be magnanimous. She couldn't keep holding the phone, lest others say that she was narrow-minded. On Yang Ming's side, he talked to the women one by one. When he heard their voices, he knew that they got along very well. Yang Ming's heart was very comforted. This feeling made him feel very at ease. Finally, he didn't have to worry about the backyard at home. However, when he was talking to Wang Xiaoyan hinted to Yang Ming, you should call Uncle later. He may have something to say to you. Dong Jun's matter was better left to Fang Tian and Yang Ming. After all, it was Yang Ming's own grievances. Even Wang Xiaoyan could only be regarded as an outsider. It wasn't appropriate for her to say anything, so she simply didn't say anything so as not to interfere with Yang Ming's judgment. Oh, okay. Although Yang Ming didn't know why Wang Xiaoyan said this, Yang Ming did have the intention to call Fang Tian, so he immediately nodded and agreed. After talking to Chun Mingyan and the others, Yang Ming called his parents, Zhang Bin and bow solemnly respectively to tell them that he was fine and not to worry too much. After that, Yang Ming dialed Fong Tian's phone number. Chapter 2177. Hello. At this moment, Fong Tian was like an ordinary retired old man. He stayed at home every day, drinking tea, reading newspapers, listening to the radio, and watching TV. He lived a very leisurely life. Fong Tian's neighbors didn't know that this old man who looked very kind was once the famous king of assassins. "It's me," Yang Ming said straightforwardly. "Yang Ming, have you completed your mission?" Fong Tian's face flashed with joy, but he still asked calmly. "No, we are now trapped in a valley. It's just a coincidence that I can call you. Maybe there won't be this opportunity in the future." Yang Ming was not wrong. After all, it was impossible to come to such a far place to make a call in the future. If he often came here, it was easy to be suspected by Elder Yu. It would be inappropriate if Elder Yu found out at that time. "Oh, then make it short. Tell me what happened and what I can help with." Fong Tian was worthy of being one of the people who understood Yang Ming the most. He didn't talk nonsense and said straightforwardly, "There is nothing for the time being. I just want to tell you that I am safe." As Yang Ming said, he briefly told Fong Tian what happened after he arrived in Miaojiang. In the end, Yang Ming was silent and said, "Master, there is one more thing. I don't know how to tell you." "What is it?" Fong Tian was slightly stunned. He seemed to have guessed something, but he still asked calmly. "It's about my senior, Dong Jun," Yang Ming said. "Master, are there any outsiders near you?" "No, you can say it." Fong Tian was shocked. It turned out that Yang Ming really noticed Dong Jun's problem, but he still asked normally on the surface. "Master, I am afraid that the person who has been targeting me over the years is him." As Yang Ming said, he told Fong Tian in detail about what he had encountered over the years and the analysis of Elder Yu. "Oh, the person who has been targeting you is him?" Fong Tian's tone was still very plain. "You guessed it? Not bad, not simple." "Master, why don't you look shocked at all?" The expression on Yang Ming's face became a little strange. "You already knew about this before?" "I have been guessing, but it has never been confirmed," Fong Tian said. "Until a while ago, this matter was really confirmed." "Oh, you were also guessing before?" Yang Ming was a little surprised. "I was just guessing before, until a few things happened recently. I was sure. That person is him, my senior brother Dong Jun. I have long suspected it," Fong Tian said. "I suspected it earlier than you, but I didn't expect you to suspect it too. Why didn't you tell me before?" "Ugh, before, I only suspected it in my heart, but I didn't want to believe that the person who targeted me was my senior brother Dong Jun," Yang Ming said with a bitter smile, "because he was very good to me. He introduced me to the sect, and during my training, he was busy for me. I really didn't want to believe that he was the person who targeted me behind the scenes. However, until a few days ago, I confirmed this matter through Elder Yu's mouth." "So you didn't say it? But do you know that even if you didn't say it, there were a few times when you were in danger and almost lost your life?" asked Fong Tian. "I know, but I treated these as a kind of training. Although it was dangerous, it could allow me to grow in danger. Since there weren't so many opportunities for me to train, having a person who is always targeting me can also help me grow quickly," said Yang Ming. "Ha ha ha." Fong Tian laughed after listening to Yang Ming's words. It seemed that Yang Ming's thoughts were exactly the same as his. Although he suspected Dong Jun, the reason why he didn't intervene was that he wanted to train Yang Ming. If the knife wasn't sharpened, it wouldn't be sharp. If the jade wasn't carved, it wouldn't be useful. Only a small sapling that experienced wind and rain could grow strong and eventually become a towering tree. "What are you laughing at? Could it be that you think so too?" Yang Ming heard Fong Tian's laughter as if he had guessed something. "Yes." Fong Tian nodded and said, "My thoughts are similar to yours. I want to train you." So, I turned a blind eye to his matters before, but when I knew that he was the one who did these things, I couldn't tolerate it. Then, "Master, how are you going to deal with him?" asked Yang Ming after a moment of silence. "I'll listen to your opinion." Fong Tian said, "You're the person involved. You say what should be done. Master, can I ask how you determined that the person who dealt with me was senior apprentice Brother Dongjun? I heard Sun Jie say before that he sent them a package of photos. I didn't ask carefully at that time, but I think he wouldn't be stupid enough to write his own name when he sent the letter, right? Asked Yang Ming. Me? That's how I found out. As Fong Tian spoke, he explained how he knew about Dong Jun to Yang Ming. In this, the biggest credit was Yang Ming's women. If it weren't for them, Fong Tian couldn't be sure that the person who dealt with Yang Ming was Dong Jun. I didn't expect it to be them. Yang Ming was a little surprised, but he finally understood why the women merged together so quickly. It turned out that they had a common goal and common expectations. They worked together to find a behind-the-scenes mastermind who dealt with him, and they were also looking forward to his return, thinking of their silent support behind him. Yang Ming's heart was moved. He swore that he would treat them well. It's them. I didn't expect that there would be a very powerful person among them. Fong Tian sighed. When you were there, they didn't show off, but once you left, the power they displayed together wasn't small. But I'm very gratified. My biggest problem is solved. Yang Ming smiled and said, So, it seems that I have to thank senior apprentice Brother Dong Jun. If it weren't for him, Meng Yin and the others wouldn't be able to unite so quickly and face a common enemy. Let's not talk about this. Tell me, how do you want to deal with your senior apprentice brother? As Fong Tian spoke until here, his words suddenly became sharp. If you don't want to see him, I will make him disappear. After you come back, there will be no such person. Chapter 2178. Yang Ming's heart was very contradictory at this moment. After listening to Fong Tian's words, he felt a little sad. Yang Ming was a person who cherished old friendships. If it wasn't a last resort, Yang Ming wouldn't do anything to hurt his friends. Even if these friends betrayed him, if they could repent, Yang Ming would still choose to forgive them. Tian Donghua, Tian Long, and Wang Shui were the same. Guo Jianshao was also the same. Even Zhou Jiejia and Jing Xiaolu, who had a little misunderstanding with him, had become Yang Ming's women at this moment. Yang Ming also chose to forgive Gu Xinyao, who had bullied Lin Jiyun. Therefore, if Dong Jun really repented, Yang Ming might give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. Why? Are you hesitating? Asked Fong Tian. Yes, I am indeed hesitant. Yang Ming said, Master, does senior apprentice Brother Dong Jun know about this matter? Did you have a showdown with him? Why? Is this very important? Fong Tian asked in return. It's very important. Yang Ming said solemnly. I want to know his attitude. If he has remorse and is willing to admit the mistakes he made in the past and turn over a new leaf, then I think we can give him a chance. Yang Ming, you are still too soft-hearted. Fong Tian sighed and said, You are not a successful assassin, but you are a successful apprentice and a junior apprentice. Is there a difference? An assassin doesn't have to be cold-blooded and ruthless, right? Yang Ming said with a smile, Sometimes forgiveness is also a correct approach. After all, he is my senior apprentice brother. If I inherit the position of the king of assassins, then he is my junior apprentice brother. For a junior apprentice brother, shouldn't I be more tolerant? However, what I want to know is why he is targeting me. Is there a reason and a reason? If there is a reason that can be explained, then Master, I want to give him a chance. All right, since that's the case, I'll tell you the whole story. Fong Tian nodded and said, Then, you can make a conclusion after listening to it. If you think he should be forgiven, then forgive him. If you think he shouldn't be forgiven, just tell me. You've grown up, so I'll leave this matter to you. Okay, go ahead. Yang Ming nodded and said, It's like this. As Fong Tian spoke, he told the ins and outs of the matter to Yang Ming in detail. The reason why he said it in detail was to let Yang Ming understand the whole process of why Dong Jun dealt with Yang Ming. This would allow Yang Ming to clearly and objectively judge whether Dong Jun was wrong, how much wrong he was, and how much responsibility he had to bear. Yang Ming quietly listened to Fong Tian's explanation. At the beginning, He heard that Dong Jun had made a move on him because he couldn't inherit the title of King of Assassins because of his appearance. This made Yang Ming very angry. Since you don't want me to join, why did you invite me? However, later on, Yang Ming also understood that Dong Jun couldn't reverse his appearance. Fong Tian had taken a fancy to him. In order not to give himself away, Dong Jun could only let him become Fong Tian's disciple. Of course, when Yang Ming heard about Central and Dr. Benjamin, Yang Ming's eyes widened and his mouth dropped. Central? Dr. Benjamin? Yang Ming's memory of these two names was still fresh. When he was in Europe, Yang Ming had a conflict with the Douglas family in order to save Wang Songshan. So he fought with a person named Jetson. After that, in Las Vegas with Liu Yezi, you once again met a person named Kevin. He also had the invulnerable body of Jin Gang, like Jetson. From their mouths, they said two names. One was Central, and the other was Dr. Benjamin. It could be said that even without Dong Jun's matter, Yang Ming and Central had already formed a grudge. Of course, if Central did not continue to trouble Yang Ming would not bother with them. After all, Yang Ming's central stronghold was not under the jurisdiction of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and had nothing to do with his own Island X. Why would Yang Ming worry so much about Central and Dr. Benjamin? However, when Fong Tian talked about the grievances between Dong Jun and Central and Dr. Benjamin's purpose, a burst of anger suddenly surged in Yang Ming's heart. This Dr. Benjamin actually wants to find Suya and Dr. Sun Sikong? It's fine if he wants to find Dr. Sun Sikong. Sun Sikong is a scientist whose scientific and technological means are not inferior to mine. Even if he is found, he will not suffer. But Suya, in this case, Yang Ming can't ignore it. Moreover, Dong Jun also explained his thoughts and purpose. Yang Ming did not have as much hatred for him as before. After all, Dong Jun was also a pitiful person. If Yang Ming was in his shoes, he might do something irrational. And Alice is actually a sister? This made Yang Ming a little dumbfounded. Although Yang Ming had long felt that there was a problem with Alice, he did not associate her with Dong Jun. However, it turned out that they were actually family. Moreover, Dong Jun actually pleaded in front of Fong Tian. Even if Fong Tian could not spare him, he asked Fong Tian to protect his sister. Just this sentence made Yang Ming's heart soften. Yeah, who doesn't want to protect someone? For the freedom of his sister, Dong Jun was willing to die. At this moment, Yang Ming also forgave Dong Jun for what he had done before. If it were me, I might do something to hurt others for Chun Ming Yin and the others. This is human nature. Why? Is there a problem? Fong Tian also heard the strangeness in Yang Ming's tone, so he asked, "There is a problem. It's more than a problem." Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "For Central and Dr. Benjamin, this is not the first time I have heard of it. Not only that, but I have also fought with the masters from Central." "Oh, masters from Central?" Fong Tian was slightly stunned and asked, "Yes." Yang Ming said, "Dr. Benjamin is a very powerful person. He can actually turn ordinary people into iron men and become invulnerable. Do you remember when I saved Wang Songshan's father-in-law in Europe?" "Oh, is it that time? You fought with Dr. Benjamin's people?" asked Fong Tian. "Yes, it's that time," Yang Ming said, and told Fong Tian the situation at that time in detail. He was afraid that Wang Xiaoyan and the others would be worried after hearing it. At that time, the Lancer family had been completely destroyed by Yang Ming, so Yang Ming did not say much. But now, for Fong Tian, Yang Ming told the story in detail. Chapter 2179. Back then, when you went to rescue Wang Songshan, it was actually so dangerous. Fong Tian widened his eyes and said to Yang Ming incredulously, "I didn't expect you to come up with such a way to lure Jetson into the boiler and burn him directly." Another time, when I was in Las Vegas, I met a person named Kevin. He was also from Central. He was Dr. Benjamin's masterpiece. Like Jetson, he was also invulnerable. That time, it was also extremely dangerous, but I finally killed him. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Another time, when I was in Las Vegas, I met a person named Kevin. He was also from Central. This time, Yang Ming used his special ability, but Fang Tian didn't know about his special ability. Yang Ming couldn't say too much on the phone. He could only tell Fang Tian about it when he returned. Therefore, Yang Ming only briefly talked about his experience this time and didn't go into too much detail. Fortunately, Fang Tian didn't ask much. He just nodded and said, "So, you want to let Dong Jun go?" "Yes, since he has repented, why don't we give him a chance?" Yang Ming said, "And Dr. Benjamin also wants to make a move on Suya, so I have no reason to keep him. Anyway, I have decided to be Dr. Benjamin's enemy. So, senior brother Dong Jun and I are like brothers in the trenches. I think it's better to cooperate with him. After all, he knows much more about Dr. Benjamin than I do, so it's not impossible to let him join in and deal with Dr. Benjamin together. We can also increase our chances of winning." "Hee, I knew you would let him go." Fang Tian sighed with a smile. "This is also the reason why I kept him and didn't kill him." "Master, you know me well." Yang Ming smiled embarrassedly. "Well, I will tell Dong Jun what you mean and let him feel at ease. During this time, collect more information about Dr. Benjamin. After you come back, you will be busy again," said Fang Tian. "Elder Yu over there hasn't finished dealing with it yet, and here we are thinking about dealing with Dr. Benjamin again. Looks like I really can't stay idle." Yang Ming said somewhat helplessly. Sometimes the plan was really not as fast as changes. Originally, Yang Ming wanted to kill Elder Yu this time. After completing the mission, he would go to Island X to live in seclusion and live a happy life with his girlfriends. But now, it seemed that if he did not get rid of Dr. Benjamin, he would always be a hidden danger. There was a saying, "Don't be afraid of thieves stealing, but be afraid of thieves remembering." Dr. Benjamin had been there to capture Suya. How could Yang Ming tolerate this ticking time bomb being there all the time? Therefore, even without Dong Jun, Yang Ming would still have to deal with Dr. Benjamin. However, it seemed that although Dr. Benjamin was powerful, Yang Ming could still deal with the steel men under him. After all, those steel men had weaknesses just like Tianlong. As long as he could find their weaknesses, he could deal with them. Unlike Elder Yu, who was invulnerable, and no weakness could be found. Everyone had tried so many ways to deal with Elder Yu, but none of them were effective. You are a character who can't stay idle. A life that is too comfortable is not suitable for you. Always find something to do. Life also has passion. Fang Tian laughed. "Well, let's not talk about it first. There are other people waiting to call here. Let's stop here first. I will go back and study Dr. Benjamin in detail," said Yang Ming. "Okay," said Fang Tian. "Protect your own safety." "I understand." Yang Ming smiled and remembered a sentence that Fang Tian said when he first taught him the assassin course. The purpose of an assassin was to complete the goal, not to fight head-on with people. If he couldn't win, he would run away. It was not shameful. As long as there was life, there was hope. If he really fought to his death, not only would he not get a reward, but he would also lose his life in vain. This was also a hint to Yang Ming not to fight head-on with Elder Yu, but sometimes when things had reached this point, it was no longer Yang Ming himself who had the final say. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming looked at Sun Sikong strangely, and Sun Sikong also looked at Yang Ming strangely. Because Yang Ming mentioned the name of Central and Dr. Benjamin on the phone, Sun Sikong was very surprised. He didn't expect Yang Ming to have actually fought with them. Yang Ming heard from Fang Tian that Dr. Benjamin was also looking for Dr. Sun Sikong in addition to looking for Suya, so Yang Ming was also very surprised. Yang Ming and Sun Sikong spoke almost at the same time, but Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. "Grandpa Sun, you should speak first. You are the elder." "Well, then I'll speak first." Sun Sikong nodded and said, "Yang Ming, you know Dr. Benjamin and have fought with his men?" "Yes." Yang Ming didn't hide it. This time, he explained in more detail to Yang Ming than he did on the phone just now because his glasses were given to him by Dr. Sun Sikong. Sun Sikong knew the effects of the glasses very well, so Yang Ming also explained the special abilities. In the end, he said strangely, "Grandpa Sun, can't you receive the signal from the glasses? Didn't you know that I fought with Jetson, Kevin, and the others before? I can receive the signal, but I can't receive the specific image. I said that I can only find out the purpose of the things you use the glasses for, such as saving your life, gambling, peeking at the campus bell, or peeking at the delinquent girl taking a bath," said Sun Sikong. Ahem. Yang Ming's face suddenly turned red from Sun Sikong's words. He had only used the glasses to peek a few times, and they were all his own women. He could see without peeking, but he was a little embarrassed when he was exposed. "Haha, bro, I didn't expect you to be so wretched." Lu Yezi laughed. "Ugh, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about the main point first." Yang Ming's face was even redder, but he shook his head to hide it. He ignored Lu Yezi and pretended to be calm. "Grandpa's son, what hatred do you have with that Dr. Benjamin? Why does he want to deal with you and Suya? What grudges do you have?" I'm a little baffled when it comes to Central that suddenly appeared." Sun Sikong smiled bitterly and began to slowly tell Yang Ming about his grudges with Central. Lu Yezi didn't know some of these things, so Lu Yezi also widened his eyes at this moment and listened attentively to Sun Sikong's narration. Chapter 2180. When I first came here, I was actually with Mo Kongwon to protect little Yezi. But inexplicably, a place called Center appeared, and Dr. Benjamin was targeting me. Sun Sikong recounted his strange experience. When Yezi's father left, he also moved his technology group to an alien planet. Almost nothing was left here, so it was impossible for there to be any remaining enemies. But this Dr. Benjamin really appeared inexplicably, and after he appeared, he began to target me everywhere. I disguised as a scavenger in Songjiang City and had a good relationship with a little girl. Because of me, the little girl was implicated. I don't know how she is now." Sun Sikong sighed and said, "I feel a little ashamed when I think about it. Don't you know about her?" Yang Ming was stunned and asked strangely, "Doesn't she also have a pair of glasses? Can't you receive a message from the glasses?" Although she also has glasses, her eyes are the first generation of immature products. They don't have the function of transmitting information. Your glasses are the second generation of mature products, so they have this function. Sun Sikong said, "I was going to give this pair of glasses to the people around little Yezi, so it can also play a role in protecting little Yezi, but at that time, Mo Kongwon chose you. Do you really think that I have nothing better to do than to set up a stall in front of your school?" "Ugh, could it be?" When Yang Ming heard this, he suddenly looked at Mo Kongwon in shock. He knew that Mo Kongwon was a god. Could it be that Mo Kongwon had already predicted that I would appear beside Lu Yezi and become his friend? "Yes, I have already calculated today's karma before." Mo Kongwon smiled slightly and nodded to Yang Ming. "So, this pair of glasses will appear on you." Yang Ming listened to the conversation between the two and suddenly realized. It turned out to be like this. No wonder he felt strange before. Since Sun Sikong was a Ph.D. in science, he was so powerful that he could even invent a flying saucer. Why would he set up a stall? But now, it seemed that there was a reason for his actions. If he hadn't become Lu Yezi's teammate and appeared by Lu Yezi's side in several dangerous missions, he probably wouldn't have given the glasses to him. "I see." Yang Ming nodded. "But I'm a little curious. Yang Ming, how did you know that the little girl also had a pair of glasses? Could it be that you know her, and you have shared each other's secrets?" Sun Sikong said strangely, "Aren't you afraid that you will leak each other's secrets?" "Grandpa's son, the girl you were talking about is called Suya, right?" Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "At first, I thought that you gave me the glasses because of Suya, but now it seems that it's not as simple as I thought." "Because of the relationship with Suya?" Sun Sikong frowned. "Why do you say so?" "Because Suya is my girlfriend." Yang Ming sweated. "She's my first love. It can't be such a coincidence, right?" Sun Sikong was also very surprised. "So, I actually gave these two glasses to a couple by accident. Ha 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 ha. There must be an effect if there is a cause. This is the so-called karma." Mo Kongwon laughed. Although I didn't calculate it so carefully in the hexagram, Yang Ming was indeed the most suitable person to get the glasses. Not only because he would become a friend of the little master, but he also met some other conditions. However, those were not important to my original intention at the time, so I didn't continue to calculate. It turned out to be like this. Sun Sikong smiled and said, "Suya, are you okay now?" Of course, she is okay. Her current identity is the big star, Shuya. Yang Ming didn't have to hide it from Sun Sikong, so he said it truthfully. What? Big star, Shuya? Sun Sikong hadn't spoken yet, but Xia Shui jumped up excitedly. Yang Ming, is what you said true? Shuya is actually Suya? No, I saw Suya when I was at the beach. She and the big star, Shuya, are two completely different people? Her glasses can change her appearance. Yang Ming said and demonstrated it himself. Immediately, Yang Ming's face turned into Lu Yezi's appearance, which shocked Xia Shui. Yeah, this pair of glasses is so powerful. Xia Shui looked at Yang Ming in front of her incredulously and exclaimed, "Not only can it see through things, but it can also change appearances?" Yeah, so the big star, Suya, is Suya after changing her appearance. Yang Ming nodded and restored his original appearance. So this is the case. If I knew that you could change your appearance, I would have let you disguise as Elder Yu's underling and kill him silently. Why bother? Xia Shui complained with some sigh. I also wanted to, but at the beginning before we fought, who knew that he would be so difficult to deal with? Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "When we really fought, we were deceived by him once. It was too late to use other tricks. I said that everything has a cause and effect, so don't regret it." Mo Kongwen interrupted with a smile. "If you dealt with Elder Yu directly, would you still see us?" "That's true." Yang Ming nodded and agreed. "If you had dealt with Elder Yu directly back then, would Little Master have met Mr. Yang Ming, would you meet Mr. Lu Tianchi?" Mo Kongwen continued. "Yeah, you're right. There is a cause and effect." Although Yang Ming didn't quite understand Mo Kongwen's words, he had to admit that his words were still very reasonable. It turns out that Suya is Suya. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I should have asked her for an autograph at that time. Xia Shui said with some regret. Are you her fan? Yang Ming looked at Xia Shui strangely. Yeah, I like her very much. Xia Shui nodded and said, when I was in school, I liked her very much. Then, you can see her every day. If you want an autograph or a group photo, you could be her child's stepmother or she can be your child's aunt. It's up to you, said Yang Ming. And Xia Shui was slightly stunned, and then her face suddenly turned red. She understood Yang Ming's meaning. When a mission was over, they would leave the valley together. Then, wouldn't she follow Yang Ming to live in seclusion in Island X? At that time, Suya would definitely go with him. Wouldn't they be able to see each other every day? Chapter 2181. Annoying. Xia Shui couldn't help but scold. But thinking of being sisters with a big star, Xia Shui also felt that it was amazing. She just didn't expect that the beautiful girl she met at the beach was the big star, Shuya. If I knew earlier, I would have asked her for an autograph. But when I thought that I could live with Shuya for a long time in the future, why would I need an autograph? Wouldn't it be a joke to others? Thinking of this, Xia Shui closed her mouth again and no longer mentioned this matter. Right, Grandpa's son, you haven't said. How did you become enemies with Central and Dr. Benjamin? Why are they targeting you? Yang Ming smiled at Xia Shui and turned to look at Sun Sikong. I said that I also thought it was very strange. Sun Sikong said, when I was in Songjiang City, I was doing my scientific experiments in peace, but suddenly I was found by a person named Benjamin. This person was looking for me by name, which made me feel very strange. How does this person know about you? And how does he know that you are in Songjiang City? Asked Yang Ming strangely. I don't know. Sun Sikong smiled bitterly. Although I'm not afraid of him, the technological products I brought this time are limited. I'm not his opponent, so I don't want to have a head-on conflict with them. I just don't know why, but they just keep an eye on me. They have been inquiring about my whereabouts all these years. It seems that they have to find me. This is really strange. Is this Dr. Benjamin crazy? Why does he have to find you for no reason? Yang Ming listened to Sun Sikong's words and felt that it was a bit incredible. Is it because of the glasses you invented? there is this possibility, but it seems that it is not only this possibility, because Dr. Benjamin should also be a great scientist, but he just used his energy to study human potential. The steel man, you said, is his research direction, said Sun Sikong. Research direction? According to my current observation, he seems to be a biochemist, said Yang Ming. Biochemist? Biochemist? Sun Sikong didn't know why he suddenly thought of a person in his mind, but he shook his head and threw this idea away. It seemed unlikely because he should have no contact with Dr. Benjamin, and Dr. Benjamin was a foreigner. Yeah, isn't the steel man a kind of biochemist? Yang Ming said, in fact, Elder, you can basically be regarded as a biochemist because he has exceeded the category of normal people. This is true, said Sun Sikong, but if you want to deal with Dr. Benjamin, maybe I can help. I can help you, but the factor, after all, excluding the factor of strength, scientific knowledge is also a key factor. Thank you, Grandpa's son. Yang Ming was overjoyed after listening to Sun Sikong's words. With the guidance of this scientific doctor, he had more confidence. Why? If. Okay, then it's a deal. Yang Ming nodded and said, when the things here are over, I will definitely ask you for advice when I deal with Dr. Benjamin. At that time, send a signal to me through your glasses, or let Xiao Yezi send a signal through the jade pendant. I will look for you, said Sun Sikong. Oh, my glasses? They can send signals? How do I do it? Asked Yang Ming. As long as you think about it, I can receive it. Sun Sikong smiled and said, every message from your glasses will be transmitted and processed in my computer, but I can set a keyword reminder. For example, if you think my name 3 times, Sun Sikong, Sun Sikong, Sun Sikong, the computer will give an alarm. As Sun Sikong said this, he took the computer keyboard and entered some commands that Yang Ming couldn't understand. Then, he said, now you can try it. Oh, so magical? Yang Ming closed his eyes and said Sun Sikong's name 3 times in his heart. Sure enough, the computer next to Sun Sikong issued an alarm prompt. On the computer screen, 3 names of Sun Sikong were displayed. It's just a simple information transmission system. Sun Sikong didn't have any proud expression. He just explained casually, well, I'm done with my phone call. This time, it's Yezi's turn to call, right? Yang Ming was a little embarrassed to hold the phone for so long. Me? Can I make a call? Lu Yezi was slightly stunned. Yes, but according to the rules set by the old master, little master, you're not allowed to contact your family before you complete the experience, so we can't do anything about it. Mo Kongwen smiled bitterly and said, of course, if you are not afraid of the old master scolding you, you can try, then forget it. Lu Yezi shook his head quickly. I won't make this call. Huh? Sun Sikong smiled and said, it's not that serious. When your mission is over, maybe the old master will take the initiative to contact you and let you go back. Go back. Lu Yezi was slightly stunned. He looked at the people around him, and there was a trace of reluctance in his eyes. Lu Yezi, it's okay. Don't be sad. You can think about these things later. You have to go back eventually, but now is not the time to think about this. Yang Ming smiled and said, the most important thing for us now is still in front of us. That's true. Lu Yezi nodded and left the trace of reluctance in his heart behind. Since Yezi can't make a call, then let's go back. We have been here for a long time. Don't let Elder Yu find anything wrong, said Yang Ming. Okay. Everyone nodded in agreement. Grandpa's son, Mr. Mo, we will leave first. See you after this matter is over. Yang Ming called Sun Sikong Grandpa's son because Sun Sikong was Yang Ming's elder, so he and Lu Yezi were naturally in the same generation. But for Mo Kongwon, he could only call him Mr. Mo. After all, he called Lu Yezi master, so he could only be regarded as the same generation as Yang Ming. Okay, you guys be careful. See you later. Sun Sikong nodded and said, Grandpa's son, Mo Kongwon, goodbye. After Lu Yezi finished speaking, he turned and left with Yang Ming. Chapter 2182. Yang Ming, wait a minute. Sun Sikong walked out of the cave and called out to Yang Ming and others. Oh, Is there anything else? Yang Ming turned around when he heard the voice. He looked at Sun Sikong in the cave strangely. He didn't know what else Sun Sikong wanted. Yang Ming, although I can't help you much, I can help you modify these two battery-powered vehicles. The speed and safety of these battery-powered vehicles are too poor. However, with a simple modification, it can allow you to go back and forth in the valley several times a day. If you really need to contact the outside world, you don't have to drive so many battery-powered vehicles here, said Sun Sikong. Sun Sikong said, "Oh." Yang Ming was overjoyed when he heard it. This was a good thing. Although it wasn't of much use for the time being, it was really like what Sun Sikong said. If they still needed to contact the outside world, they could drive here quickly. They didn't have to drive for so many days. This also ensured the secrecy and wouldn't be discovered by Elder Yu. So, he quickly said, "That's great. Then, I'll have a trouble Grandpa's son." "No problem." Sun Sikong smiled and said, "Come and do me a favor. It only takes half an hour to complete it." "Okay, I will do whatever you say." Yang Ming nodded and said. Next, Sun Sikong took out two small things like circuit board from the flying saucer and took out some parts that Yang Ming didn't know. He began to modify Yang Ming's electric scooter. Yang Ming, Lu Yezi, and others helped him. Sure enough, as Sun Sikong said, the modification of the electric scooter was completed in half an hour. According to Sun Sikong, a driving computer and a body stabilization system were installed. It was much safer than the previous electric scooter. "It's done." Sun Sikong patted the dust on his hands and said to Yang Ming, "It's done. But you have to fasten your seatbelt. Although I know that you are invulnerable after eating Jean Gang's voodoo, there is still a pregnant woman in the car. Don't worry, Grandpa Sunday. We will be careful," Yang Ming said with a smile. After Yang Ming and others said goodbye to Sun Sikong and Mo Cowan again, they got on the battery-powered vehicle. There was no need to explore this place anymore, because there were cliffs in front of the valley. If they continued to explore this area, it would inevitably arouse Elder Yu's suspicion. That would not be good. Although no one had found a solution to the Herculean venomous insect during this trip, everyone was very happy. On the way back, their faces were full of smiles. After all, everyone had benefited a lot this time. Lu Tianqi and Chen Shaojing both contacted their families to report that they were safe, and Yang Ming not only solved his biggest worry, but also solved Dong Jun's problem. Now, he could wholeheartedly deal with Elder Yu. The battery-powered vehicle started slowly. Yang Ming and Lu Yezi each drove one, but the starting speed of the battery-powered vehicle surprised Yang Ming and Lu Yezi. It only took about 5 or 6 seconds to accelerate 100 meters. This was simply more powerful than ordinary cars. Moreover, the battery-powered vehicle had been transformed by the motor, battery, tires, and body computer. It became unusually stable, which made Yang Ming secretly praise Sun Sikong. Sun Sikong is really a powerful person. Although this was not a very amazing technology, and many cars could reach this level, to be able to complete the transformation in half an hour was not something that ordinary people could do. However, thinking about the magic of his own glasses, Yang Ming was relieved. If Sun Sikong did not have such powerful scientific knowledge, it was impossible to make his own pair of glasses that could see through things. After the transformation of the vehicle, the speed was really fast. Soon, they returned to the laboratory. It only took more than an hour for everyone to walk through most of the valley. This was unimaginable before, but now it had become a reality. Moreover, this included some places where the road was not very flat. For the safety of Yi and Xiao Susu, Yang Ming and Lu Yezi did not dare to drive too fast. Otherwise, they would have arrived at the laboratory earlier. So fast? For the first time, I feel that this valley is so small. Lin Dongfang couldn't help but sigh after getting off the car. In the past, because of this battery-powered vehicle, the furthest we could go was half of the valley. But now it is not a problem. Yeah, Brother Lin, this time, even if we can't get out of the valley for a while, we can call home during the holidays. Lu Tianqi said with a sigh. Since we are back, how can we not get out of the valley? Lin Dongfang said with a smile, since the decision has been made, then I will take the vigor voodoo today. In these few days, I will fight with Elder Yu to the death and make a conclusion. This matter is over early, and everyone can go back. Our mission is considered completed. Everyone listened to Lin Dongfang's words. Although they had already expected this result, they were still a little silent at this moment, especially Lu Yezi and Yi. They were a little reluctant. Yi wanted to go back to the outer space with Lu Yezi, which was even further away from here. If she wanted to see Lin Dongfang again, it wouldn't be done overnight. As for the children, they had agreed to stay here to accompany Lin Dongfang, which made Lu Yezi and Yi somewhat reluctant. How about I take it? Yang Ming hesitated and said, Anyway, it is the same where we live in seclusion. At most, I will not go to Island X. When the time comes, I will bring my wives here to live in seclusion. This valley is also beautiful, and the 4 seasons are pleasant. I think they and my family will also like this place. No. Lin Dongfang shook his head decisively and said, Don't you still have to deal with that, Dr. Benjamin? How can you stay here? Yang Ming was reminded by Lin Dongfang and remembered that he still had a big thing to do after this mission. He was suddenly silent. Yes, if I take the vigor voodoo, how can I leave here? Haha, since it has already been decided, why are you so hesitant? Lin Dongfang frowned, waved his hand, and said, If you still don't agree, then I will secretly take it in the middle of the night. Anyway, you can't see it and won't know. Okay. Hearing Lin Dongfang say this, Yang Ming couldn't dissuade him anymore. He could only nod. The others also did the same. Lin Dongfang would rather take the Herculean venomous insect in front of everyone. If there was any trouble, it could be solved. Otherwise, if he took the Herculean venomous insect in front of everyone, no one would know if there was trouble. Chapter 2183. Therefore, after Lu Yezi, Yi, and others listened to Yang Ming's words, they all nodded and agreed with him. Things were settled like this. Lin Dongfang came to the laboratory and swallowed the complete version of the Herculean voodoo under everyone's gaze. However, when Lin Dongfang just swallowed it, there was no difference. He was the same as usual. There was nothing wrong with him. How do you feel? Asked Lu Qianqi. Not bad. There's a feeling of full strength all over my body, said Lin Dongfang. At present, don't rush to fight with Elder Yu. Let's first test how much attack power this Herculean voodoo can make and how long it can last. Yang Ming said, What do you think? That's right, said Lu Qianqi. We must test how long this Herculean voodoo can stay active in Brother Lin's body and how many super strong attacks it can make. After all, our previous experiments were on animals, and Brother Lin is the first person to take it. However, in this regard, Lu Tianqi and Lan Ling were the authority. Yang Ming and others couldn't intervene in the professional test. He just reminded them. After Lin Dongfang took the Herculean venomous worm, everyone began a long test routine. During the test, they found that if Lin Dongfang didn't consume any stamina, that was to say, not long after he took the Herculean venomous worm, he could continuously attack with super strength 3 times. After that, Lin Dongfang began to become like those tested animals. His whole body was weak. This was the same feeling as the restraining drug of Elder Yu's Jin Gang voodoo. It was similar to the feeling of being weak all over. However, Elder Yu's drug could automatically resolve itself after a few days of rest, but this couldn't. Lin Dongfang rested for 3 or 4 days, but he was still weak all over. This was exactly the same as when he first tested it with animals. The effect was not much different. Therefore, Lu Qianqi and others quickly gave Lin Dongfang the nutrient liquid secreted by the quick cicada voodoo, and Lin Dongfang quickly returned to normal. Since the effect had been tested, what everyone wanted to test next was whether Lin Dongfang would affect the activity of the Herculean voodoo in his body when he didn't use high-intensity strength. However, as the days passed, everyone came to an extremely disappointing conclusion. Although Lin Dongfang didn't use too much strength, the activity of the Herculean venomous insect in his body was also decreasing automatically. This was different from everyone's initial imagination because the animals used for testing could replenish their energy through ordinary food when they didn't use too much strength. They didn't need to take nutrients or other things like that. But Lin Dongfang was different. If Lin Dongfang didn't take the nutrient solution, he could only last 7 days. Moreover, it was a maximum of 7 days. During these 7 days, Lin Dongfang didn't do anything that consumed his physical strength. Even so, he could only last for a few days before he had to take the nutrient solution again. This also broke Lu Yezi and Yi's previous fantasy. In their opinion, if Lin Dongfang didn't do something that consumed a lot of physical strength, it shouldn't affect the activity of the Hercules voodoo. He could keep on not taking the nutrient solution. In this way, they could leave the Medicine Valley with Lin Dongfang, but now it seemed impossible. However, this strange phenomenon also made everyone feel a little strange. Why did the results of the experiments on animals become unsuitable for Lin Dongfang? According to the results of the previous experiments, they were all the same. Only the activity of the Herculean venomous insect was different, which made everyone feel very strange. However, under Lan Ling's analysis, everyone finally found the answer. The reason was that the Herculean venomous insect in Lin Dongfang's body had a conflict with the Jin Gang venomous insect. These two venomous insects were originally nemesis, but Lin Dongfang alone took these two venomous insects. Therefore, even if Lin Dongfang didn't use a lot of strength to consume the activity of the Herculean venomous insect, the activity of the Herculean venomous insect was automatically consumed by the Jin Gang venomous insect in his body. In other words, the relationship between the two was basically like a spear and a shield. Although the reason was found, it was impossible to solve this problem because Lin Dongfang had already taken the Herculean venomous insect. Moreover, even if he didn't take the Jin Gang venomous insect and only took the Herculean venomous insect, everyone was worried about him fighting with Elder Yu. If Elder Yu used the ultra-strong body of the Jin Gang venomous insect to hit Lin Dongfang, and Lin Dongfang had high attack and low defense, then he was likely to be seriously injured. 7 days, although it was not a lot, it was definitely enough. With the speed of the quick cicada venomous insect secretion of a nutrient liquid, it was definitely not enough for 2 people, but it was more than enough for Lin Dongfang alone. Lin Dongfang took the nutrient liquid once every 2 days so that the activity of the Herculean venomous insect in his body could be maintained at the best. The experiment was completed. The effect of the complete version of the Herculean venomous insect was more than 10 times stronger than the previous incomplete version of the Herculean venomous insect. It was really powerful. At this moment, Lin Dongfang could punch a big hole in the mountain wall with one punch. This was absolutely impossible to do in the past. In the following time, everyone began to wait for Elder Yu to come again. Finally, 3 days later, the sound of a helicopter sounded in the sky above the Medicine Valley again. A trace of excitement flashed in everyone's eyes at the same time. Everyone had been waiting for this moment for several days. This time, they were going to test the effect of the Herculean venomous insect. However, the person who came this time was still the confidant of Elder Yu. He came to deliver food to Yang Ming and the others. It was the same as every time. After the helicopter stopped in the Medicine Valley, he moved the food and daily necessities from the helicopter and prepared to leave by plane. He would not say a word to Yang Ming and the others. After all, they had nothing to say unless Yang Ming and the others took the initiative to talk to him. Wait a minute. This time, Yang Ming once again stopped Elder Yu's confidant. "What's the matter?" asked Elder Yu's confidant. "You go back and tell Elder Yu that the initial stage cultivation of the Jin Gang venomous insect that he wanted has been cultivated. He can add the catalytic enzyme now," said Yang Ming. "Cultivated it?" The confidant was slightly taken aback, and a look of suspicion flashed across his face. After all, it was only a few days ago. He was deceived once last time. This time, he could not guarantee that Yang Ming was lying again. Of course, it's up to you to believe it or not. You can choose not to believe it. Yang Ming saw the suspicion on the confidant's face and just said faintly. Chapter 2184. Okay, I will convey it truthfully. The confidant's face hesitated slightly, but he finally nodded and agreed. After all, even if Yang Ming was lying, he had to convey it truthfully. What if it was not a lie? If Yang Ming and the others really developed the initial stage cultivation of Jin Gang voodoo, then if he did not report it, the matter would be really big. Because he had to convey Yang Ming's words, the confidant did not dare to neglect. After leaving the food and daily necessities, he directly boarded the helicopter and quickly flew to Elder Yu's residence. Because there was no signal in the Medicine Valley, he could not use the intercom system in the helicopter to get in touch with Elder Yu. He could only go back and inform in person. When this person appeared in Elder Yu's room again, Yang Ming watched their every move without blinking. Last time, Yang Ming suffered a big loss because he neglected a small detail. This time, he would not let any of Elder Yu's inexplicable actions go. You're back? What are Yang Ming and the others doing? Elder Yu saw his confidant come back and nodded to him. Reporting to Elder Yu, when I went to deliver the food and daily necessities, Yang Ming and the others were barbecuing in the Medicine Valley. They seemed to be having an open-air party to celebrate something. But when I was about to leave, Yang Ming stopped me and asked me to tell you after I came back that they developed the initial stage cultivation of Jin Gang voodoo. He asked you to add the catalytic enzyme. As soon as this confidant came back, he conveyed what Yang Ming said to Elder Yu. Oh, it's not slow. It's quite fast. Elder Yu frowned. How credible do you think it is this time? Elder Yu, I really don't know, because this time, Yang Ming's expression was not much different from when Liu Tianqi and the others told me last time. I can't say whether they have really researched it, or they have come up with a way to deal with you and lure you there. The confidant hesitated and said, looks like I can only go and take a look again. But no matter what tricks they play, I'm not afraid of them. The right-hand elder sneered and said, a clown will always be a clown. Yang Ming and the others are not to be feared now. Under my control, they can't play any new tricks. Yes, Elder Yu is wise. Although the confidant didn't know why Elder Yu had so much confidence, it could be seen from the last incident that Elder Yu still had a lot of trump cards. All right, check the plane and refuel it. I will look for Yang Ming personally. Elder Yu said, although I have become invulnerable now, if the helicopter explodes or crashes, I will still be in trouble. I still have to walk a long way. After that confidant listened to Elder Yu's words, he couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. When a helicopter crashed or exploded, the first thing that other people thought about was how to escape and save their lives, but Elder Yu thought about walking a long way. This was really amazing. After the helicopter was ready, Elder Yu personally drove the helicopter to the Medicine Valley again. Like last time, the helicopter slowly stopped in the open space of the Medicine Valley, and Elder Yu got off the helicopter again. However, what made Elder Yu feel strange was that this time, no one came out to greet him. Last time, Yang Ming and the others were standing around, ready for battle. But this time, there was no one. This made Elder Yu a little puzzled. What kind of show is this? They asked me to come, but there is no one. Could it be that these people are resentful about the last incident, so they deliberately released fake news to mess with me? Moreover, Yang Ming also said, of course, it's up to you to believe it or not. You can choose not to believe it. Therefore, when Elder Yu thought of this sentence, he felt that Yang Ming was doing it deliberately. But since he was here, Elder Yu had no reason to turn around and leave. He could only get off the helicopter and walk in the direction of a laboratory. In his opinion, the best situation was that Yang Ming and the others were busy studying Jin Gang Gu, and they had no time to come out and pick him up. However, when he saw the open space not far away, and the charcoal fire that had not been completely extinguished, he knew that his idea was impossible. Obviously, these people had just had a picnic. How could they be studying Jin Gang Gu? However, this also made Elder Yu even more puzzled. What does Yang Ming want to do? With his understanding of Yang Ming, it was impossible for Yang Ming to find him for no reason, and he even used the excuse that the initial stage of the Gene Gang goo had been cultivated. This was simply unbelievable. However, just when Elder Yu was puzzled, a person walked out from the direction of the research room. This person was actually Lin Dongfang. After seeing Lin Dongfang, Elder Yu couldn't help but frown. According to his calculation, after Lin Dongfang was inflicted with the quick cicada goo, even if he did not become an idiot, he should become forgetful and have an incomplete memory. But now, it seemed that Lin Dongfang was still very normal. Could it be that the quick cicada goo had not taken effect yet? Elder Yu was not clear about the specific situation. After all, this was the first time he inflicted the quick cicada goo on others. He also learned the growth cycle of the quick cicada goo from the records and books. There might be some differences between different people. Why is it you? I heard from Yang Ming that the initial stage of the Gene Gang goo has been cultivated and only the catalytic enzyme is left? Asked Elder Yu. Yes, it is indeed completed. You come with me. Lin Dongfang nodded and said blankly, Okay. Elder Yu felt that things were very strange because this time the attitude of Yang Ming and others towards him was completely different from the last time. Moreover, this time, Yang Ming did not appear at all, but Lin Dongfang appeared. Therefore, this made Elder Yu feel that things seemed to be a bit strange and wrong, but he couldn't tell exactly what was wrong. Moreover, he faintly felt that this time, Lin Dongfang's attitude towards him should be normal. Because every time Elder Yu came here to personally ask about the progress, Lin Dongfang would always answer him with this kind of expressionless face. No, although there was progress this time, there should be no problem if his expression did not change. After all, in Lin Dongfang's heart, there was resentment towards Elder Yu. At that time, Elder Yu gave Lin Dongfang a quick cicada voodoo that couldn't be removed. Although Lin Dongfang didn't talk about this matter recently, there was definitely a grudge in his heart, so it was understandable that he was indifferent to Elder Yu. Therefore, Elder Yu pondered for a while and walked over quickly. He followed behind Lin Dongfang and walked in the direction of the laboratory with him. Chapter 2185. However, just as Elder Yu just caught up with Lin Dongfang's pace, Lin Dongfang suddenly turned around and smashed his fist at Elder Yu's body. For Lin Dongfang's sudden attack, Elder Yu's face flashed a trace of horror. He didn't expect that Lin Dongfang alone would dare to attack him. As a matter of fact, last time, Yang Ming, Lin Dongfang, and Lu Yezi were not Elder Yu's opponent. This time, Lin Dongfang dared to attack alone? Could it be that he ate a leopard's guts? However, although Elder Yu saw Lin Dongfang turn around and punch, he was not a martial arts master after all, and he was not as agile as Yang Ming. After all, he had not received professional training. He only relied on the powerful Gene Gang's unbreakable body to fight against the enemy. But when it came to Qinggong, he was not good enough. Therefore, even if Elder Yu saw Lin Dongfang make a move, he couldn't avoid it. His body took Lin Dongfang's punch abruptly. Originally, Elder Yu didn't take it seriously at all. In his opinion, how powerful could Lin Dongfang's punch be? It was just an incomplete version of the Vigor Voodoo. There was nothing to be afraid of. Never mind that Lin Dongfang was alone. Last time, even if Yang Ming and the other two attacked him together, it was impossible to hurt him even a little bit. However, when Lin Dongfang's fist fell on Elder Yu's chest, Elder Yu's expression was suddenly shocked. With a loud bang, the horrified expression on Elder Yu's face turned into a puzzled look. How is it possible? How can Lin Dongfang make such a powerful punch? The power generated by this punch was more than 10 times more than the power generated by the combined attack of Yang Ming and the other two. This simply made Elder Yu somewhat dare not believe it. Boom! Without waiting for Elder Yu to react, just when he was extremely shocked, Lin Dongfang made a move again. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lin Dongfang didn't want to miss it. Elder Yu was right in front of him. How could there be such a good opportunity in the future? Feeling the huge power generated by this punch, Elder Yu finally believed that this punch was really made by Lin Dongfang, but his face flashed a trace of confusion. Soon, it turned into a kind of understanding. Just when Elder Yu wanted to dodge and say something, Lin Dongfang's third punch had already come. For these 3 punches, Lin Dongfang had already grasped the time. He punched 3 punches in a flash, not giving Elder Yu a chance to dodge. In Lin Dongfang's opinion, success or failure depended on this one move. If Elder Yu was prepared, even if he succeeded in the first punch, the second and third punches would definitely not be able to hit Elder Yu. After all, he didn't have a powerful light body technique like Yang Ming. It was impossible to easily get close to Elder Yu, who was vigilant. Therefore, in these 3 punches, the powerful force generated by the Hercules voodoo smashed on Elder Yu's body. Elder Yu's whole body was like a kite with a broken string, flying away with a whoosh. Elder Yu understood. He finally knew why Lin Dongfang was so confident and dared to make a move on him. Because the force that hit his body was definitely not the force that the ordinary simplified version of the Hercules voodoo could produce. This seemed to be close to the complete version of the Hercules voodoo. It turned out that they had successfully refined the complete version of the Hercules voodoo. This time, they called him here just to deal with him. It was not because they had successfully cultivated the initial stage of the Jin Gang voodoo. Although Elder Yu had long thought that this time it might be Yang Ming's trick, he did not expect that in less than a month, they had actually successfully refined the complete version of the Hercules voodoo. If they put the spirit of refining the Hercules voodoo into refining the Jin Gang voodoo, it was estimated that the initial stage of the Jin Gang voodoo could really be refined. Elder Yu's heart was full of grievance and anger. These people, in the medicinal garden and laboratory provided by him, did not work for him, but developed their own Hercules voodoo. The purpose was to deal with him. However, when Elder Yu figured this out, everything had already become an established fact. Elder Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. His body flew all the way to the previous helicopter before landing heavily on the ground. Then, he did not move at all. It could be seen how powerful these 3 punches were. If Elder Yu had known this earlier, he would have used the antidote powder of the Jin Gang voodoo at the beginning and made Lin Dongfang faint on the ground. Then this would not have happened. However, Elder Yu did not have the ability to predict. In his opinion, Yang Ming and the others had suffered a loss last time, so it was impossible for them to suffer a loss again so quickly. As a result, this time, he was the one who suffered a loss. Lin Dongfang also breathed a sigh of relief. These 3 punches all hit Elder Yu's body. At this time, Yang Ming, Lu Yezi, and others also walked out of the laboratory. They looked at Elder Yu, who fell motionless on the ground not far away, and a relaxed smile appeared on their faces. It's done. Yang Ming looked at Lin Dongfang with some excitement. He did not expect it to be so easy. All 3 punches hit Elder Yu. The Herculean voodoo was the nemesis of the Jin Gang voodoo. Elder Yu was hit by 3 punches of the Herculean voodoo. If he could survive, it would be strange. So, when he saw Elder Yu on the ground in the distance, Yang Ming was really happy. However, things were much easier than Yang Ming thought. Even he did not expect that Lin Dongfang would hit Elder Yu with all 3 punches. Elder Yu did not even have a chance to fight back, and he was sent flying. Is it over? Lu Yezi also looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. After all, everyone had prepared for a long time to deal with Elder Yu. They had traveled over mountains and rivers to come to the Medicine Valley. They had gone through a lot of hardships to formulate the Herculean voodoo and the Jin Gang voodoo. However, the final result was only 3 punches. This kind of contrast before and after would make anyone feel incredible. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Lin Dongfang smiled bitterly and slumped to the ground. The side effects of the Herculean voodoo immediately appeared. After Lin Dongfang threw 3 punches, he could not even hold on for a quarter of an hour before he died. He had no trace of strength in his body. His body seemed to have no vitality at all. His whole person became lifeless. However, everyone was not too nervous. Although Lin Dongfang could not move in this state, he could still hold on for a while. It would not bring any danger to his life. Chapter 2186. Where's the nutrient solution? Lu Yezi just turned his head and asked a question, but he heard Yang Ming exclaim, "Not good." As Yang Ming's words just fell, Elder Yu, who was on the ground not far away, moved at this moment. Under everyone's surprised gaze, Elder Yu got up from the ground. Although his mouth was full of blood, he really stood up. Previously, everyone thought that Elder Yu was definitely going to die this time. After all, the Herculean voodoo was the nemesis of the Vajra voodoo. This thought was deeply rooted in everyone's heart. However, when Elder Yu stood up again, everyone found that the Herculean voodoo's 3 consecutive high-intensity attacks had no effect on Elder Yu. "You didn't die?" Yang Ming stared at Elder Yu not far away and asked nervously. "Die? Do you think that you can kill me with just a few moves?" Elder Yu sneered and snorted. "You overestimate yourself. Don't think that I will die just because I spat out a mouthful of blood. I just suffered a slight internal injury. Although the power of the Vigor Voodoo is great, but Yezi, let's go together. Don't listen to his nonsense." Yang Ming had suffered a loss before, so he subconsciously thought that Elder Yu was just lying to him. How could Yang Ming give him this opportunity? Yang Ming didn't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill him while he was down. Lu Yezi understood and rushed toward Elder Yu with Yang Ming. The two of them almost punched at the same time and hit Elder Yu. Elder Yu didn't seem to care. He waved his hand twice and blocked the attacks of Yang Ming and Lu Yezi. Moreover, there was a very disdainful expression on his face. "You dare to attack me with just a few moves? It's ridiculous. Are you really okay?" Feeling that Elder Yu really didn't seem to be injured, this made Yang Ming very depressed. Originally, Yang Ming thought that Elder Yu was just stalling for time, but now that he had fought with him personally, Yang Ming knew that Elder Yu was really not injured. "I've already said it before. How could you possibly kill me with your meager skills? You really overestimate yourself," Elder Yu said proudly. At this time, Lin Dongfang also took the nutrient solution, and his strength immediately returned to normal. He rushed towards the right-hand elder again. He also saw that Elder Yu was fine, so he chose to attack again. Again? Elder Yu looked at Lin Dongfang, who was rushing over, and couldn't help but sneer and said, "Just now I was caught off guard and your punches injure my internal organs. But now, do you think that you could do anything to me when I am prepared?" Lin Dongfang didn't listen to what Elder Yu said. He still rushed towards Elder Yu regardless. This was everyone's hope. He had to persevere. Yang Ming and Lu Yezi saw this scene and dodged at the same time. As for Lin Dongfang, he rushed straight towards Elder Yu. Elder Yu, on the other hand, acted as if he didn't see it all. He stood on the spot and let Lin Dongfang's fist hit him. But this time, Elder Yu didn't move. He wasn't sent flying by Lin Dongfang. He didn't even move a step. Boom! Boom! Lin Dongfang's first punch didn't work, so he threw 2 more punches in succession. Unfortunately, Elder Yu didn't seem to be afraid of being hit at all. These 3 punches, none of them could hurt Elder Yu a single bit. Until this moment, everyone finally believed Elder Yu's words. It turned out that he was really not afraid of Lin Dongfang's attack, and he was really fine. "I was caught off guard before, so I was hit by you and fell to the ground. I was dizzy from the fall, but you looked so stupid. Did you think I was dead?" Elder Yu looked at Yang Ming and others sarcastically and said, "Don't force me to use the nemesis of Jin Gang Voodoo again. You won't be able to get out of bed for 3 days." On the faces of Yang Ming, Lu Yezi, Lin Dongfang, and others, there was deep unwillingness, but there was nothing they could do. After all, the Vigor Voodoo that everyone had high hopes for was useless. As a result, everyone felt a little discouraged. Originally, he thought that the Herculean venomous worm could completely defeat the Vajra venomous worm. But now, it seemed that Elder Yu was completely fine. His own people had taken the Herculean venomous worm for no reason and would never be able to leave the vicinity of the Medicine Valley. After all, no one could accept this kind of psychological difference. Why? Isn't the Herculean strength, Gu, the nemesis of Jin Gang Voodoo? Why is it ineffective against you? Yang Ming asked with some unwillingness. Even if they lost, they had to figure out the reason. They couldn't lose without knowing why, right? You want to know? Elder Yu smiled and said, "If you want to know, I might as well tell you." "What's the reason?" asked Yang Ming. "The reason? In fact, it's very simple." Elder Yu sneered and said, "If I'm not wrong, Lin Dongfang took the complete version of the Herculean Strength Goo, right?" "Yes, it is because you have taken the complete version of the Hercules Voodoo. So I want to ask, what is the problem that this Hercules Voodoo has no effect on you?" Yang Ming asked. "It's because before he took the Herculean Strength Goo, he also took the Jin Gang Voodoo. The Jin Gang Voodoo and the Herculean Strength Goo are two kinds of voodoo that restrain each other. Although the Herculean Strength Goo is better, there is the Jin Gang Voodoo in his body. Even if he took the complete version of the Herculean Strength Goo, it is absolutely impossible to exert the effect of the Herculean Strength Goo to its peak state, because there will always be a part of the Herculean Strength Goo that is restrained by the Jin Gang Voodoo. As a result, do you think he will still be my opponent?" It turned out to be like this. Yang Ming suddenly realized. Lan Ling also mentioned a similar problem before, but at that time, he considered why Lin Dongfang couldn't persist for too long without taking the nutrient solution without activating the activity of the Herculean Strength Goo. He didn't expect that the effect of the Herculean Strength Goo would also be affected by the Jin Gang Voodoo. I advise you to spend your energy on refining the Jin Gang Voodoo. Don't waste your time. If I were you, I would have been beaten to death. You're still tirelessly trying again and again. You really have perseverance." Elder Yu shook his head and looked at Yang Ming and others with a contemptuous look. "However, Elder Yu, you told us the reason for this matter. Aren't you afraid that after we know the reason, we will let a person who has not taken the Jin Gang Voodoo take the Herculean Strength Goo?" Yang Ming asked with some doubts and puzzlement. Chapter 2187. This was what Yang Ming found most inconceivable. It was reasonable to say that Elder Yu is not a fool. Not only was he not a fool, but he was also a very cautious and cunning person. As a result, Yang Ming was repeatedly deceived. But this time, Elder Yu told the reason why Lin Dongfang's Herculean Strength Goo was ineffective against his Jin Gang Goo. Didn't that mean that it was equivalent to revealing his weakness? This approach, either Elder Yu had other trump cards, or he had a problem with his IQ. However, the possibility of Elder Yu having a problem with his IQ was almost zero. From various signs, this guy was not very smart, but he should be very smart. Therefore, Yang Ming couldn't help but ask directly. "Since I told you the reason, of course, I am not afraid." Elder Yu seemed to have known that Yang Ming would ask this question. He raised his eyebrows slightly and said faintly, "Not to mention Lin Dongfang's Hercules Voodoo that is restrained by Vajra Voodoo. Even the complete version of Hercules Voodoo without any restraint has no effect on me. So I advise you not to waste your effort. If you have the time, quickly help me cultivate the initial stage Jin Gang Goo." "Why?" Yang Ming asked puzzledly. "Isn't Herculean Strength Goo the nemesis of Jin Gang Goo?" "I said before that the Jin Gang Goo in my body is actually not Jin Gang Goo. It has been refined into an evil goo by me. At first, it was an incomplete version of Jin Gang Goo, but after the sacrificial refinement with my blood, the incomplete Jin Gang Goo in my body has become the same effect as the complete version of Jin Gang Goo. Moreover, it has now surpassed the complete version of Jin Gang Goo." Elder Yu said, "Therefore, even if it is Herculean Strength Goo, it is ineffective against the Jin Gang Goo in my body. This has already surpassed the existence of Jin Gang Goo, and it has become a new Super Jin Gang Goo." "Oh, then, in that case, why do you want us to refine the Jin Gang Goo for you? The Jin Gang Goo in your body has become a Super Jin Gang Goo. Then why do you need a weaker Jin Gang Goo than you?" Yang Ming was even more puzzled by Elder Yu's answer. "You are not wrong, but my incomplete Jin Gang Goo has a shortcoming. It must be refined with blood. This is too troublesome. If I don't use blood for sacrificial refinement for a period of time, it will be ineffective. Therefore, I want the complete version of Jin Gang Goo. With the complete version of Jin Gang Goo, I can integrate the two together and become a real super gene gang goo. At that time, it will be a true, perfect state. Elder Yu did not hide it and told the reason to Yang Ming. In fact, Elder Yu was not afraid of Yang Ming. Now, although his super gene gang goo was a little troublesome, he could defeat Yang Ming and others. Even if these people ate the complete version of Herculean strength goo, they could not do anything to him. So Elder Yu did not care to tell the truth to Yang Ming. So that's the case. Yang Ming suddenly realized. At the same time, there was some bitterness in his words. Once again, he fought with Elder Yu full of hope, but the result was still a failure. Could it be that the efforts of us and others really have no effect? Yang Ming's heart was full of deep unwillingness, but there was no way. Jin Gangu, Elder Yu had a way to break it, so it was not dangerous to him. However, the only Herculean strength goo that everyone had high hopes for was not effective. At this moment, Elder Yu is simply an invulnerable monster. All right, I should go now. I hope that the next time you call me, you have really successfully refined the initial stage of Jin Gangu. Otherwise, my patience is limited. Don't think that my repeated tolerance is benevolence. The reason why I let you go is because you're not a threat to me. If I didn't expect you to refine the Jin Gangu for me, do you think you can still live until now? Elder Yu snorted and said, "Be smart. Don't always do stupid things." After speaking, Elder Yu turned around and strode to the helicopter. He started the helicopter's engine and left with a roar. Of course, Elder Yu naturally thought that it was impossible for Yang Ming and others to successfully refine the initial stage of Jin Gangu, so he left without looking. What he didn't know was that, in fact, the initial stage of Jin Gangu was not difficult for Yang Ming and others at all. If they wanted to refine it, with the cooperation of Yang Ming's glasses, they could succeed in one try. However, no one wanted to tell Elder Yu about this, because everyone was naturally unwilling to give the initial stage of Jin Gangu to Elder Yu. In this way, Elder Yu left the Medicine Valley under everyone's disappointed and helpless gazes. Sigh. Yang Ming sighed deeply and sat on the ground helplessly. His eyes were full of decadence. It still doesn't work. If this doesn't work, let's change it. We can always think of a way. Lu Yezi comforted. Bro, although Elder Yu is powerful, we shouldn't be discouraged. We should be braver with every setback. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Although he said so, sometimes it was one thing to say, and it was another thing to really do it. The complete version of the Hercules goo was everyone's only hope. In everyone's opinion, the Hercules goo could definitely beat the Jin Gangu. Therefore, after everyone made the decision to let Lin Dongfang take this Hercules goo, they thought about the problem of what to do if Lin Dongfang stayed in West Star Mountain Village in the future. They never thought that they would actually fail to attack Elder Yu. Now, Lin Dongfang couldn't leave the Medicine Valley, but everyone couldn't leave the Medicine Valley either. Everything returned to the starting point from the end, which made everyone somewhat unable to accept it. How change it? Now that all the methods have been used, even the Hercules goo is not Elder Yu's opponent. What else can we do? Yang Ming was really discouraged. He had never been so desperate, but now he really had a feeling of powerlessness. He really didn't know what else to do and what to do, because all the methods that should be used have been used. Elder Yu was safe and sound, but one of his own people had to stay in the Medicine Valley forever and couldn't leave. Although there were no casualties, this loss was not heavy. At least in Yang Ming's heart, it was a little uncomfortable. Everyone was silent after listening to Yang Ming's words. After all, what Yang Ming said was reasonable, but no one said anything. After all, the more they said, the more depressed they would be. Don't think too much. Go back and rest. Everyone is tired enough. If there is anything, let's talk about it after resting. Lan Ling walked over and comforted Yang Ming. Chapter 2188. Indeed, it's time to have a good rest. Yang Ming was really a little tired. He smiled bitterly at Lan Ling, stood up, and walked to his house with Xia Shui. As for Lin Dongfang, after Yi gave him a nutrient solution, he went to rest with Lu Yezi. The others also dispersed, leaving only the empty space and some ashes left behind from the barbecue before. When they were barbecuing just a moment ago, everyone's mood was still happy and full of hope. But now, the hope had turned into disappointment. In the next few days, Yang Ming's mood was very low and depressed. He didn't say anything when he was eating. After he finished eating, he went back to his room to rest. Of course, the situation of the others was not good. Only Feng Tianlong and Xiao Susu were somewhat optimistic because they were the same everywhere. Xiao Susu treated every day as her last day, so she didn't have as much burden in her heart as Yang Ming. Xia Shui and Lan Ling saw that Yang Ming was so depressed. Although they understood his mood at the moment, they also wanted him to cheer up again. After all, Yang Ming was everyone's backbone. If Yang Ming lost confidence, then the others would be even more depressed. Therefore, Xia Shui and Lan Ling started to persuade Yang Ming in different ways every day. In fact, Yang Ming had already thought it through in his heart. The reason why he was still so depressed was that he couldn't find the motivation to cheer himself up. If there were other ways to deal with Elder Yu now, perhaps Yang Ming would stand up and continue to work hard without saying anything. However, there was no such thing. Yang Ming, why don't I contact Grandma again? Lan Ling suddenly thought of a problem. That was, since the Herculean voodoo was ineffective against Elder Yu's Jin Gang voodoo, then did Grandma have a way? After all, Grandma had more experience than her. If she asked, she might find a solution. Oh! After Yang Ming heard Lan Ling's words, his eyes suddenly lit up. Yeah, why didn't I think of it before? Although they didn't have a solution, Lan Ling's grandmother was an authority in this area. Perhaps if they explained the situation to Lan Ling's grandmother, she might have a solution. Thinking of this, Yang Ming's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. Why didn't I think of it before? I just had a flash of inspiration. I was thinking about how to persuade you. As I thought about it, I remembered how Grandma would comfort me when I was feeling down when I was young. So I thought of Grandma. I thought that maybe she would have a way. Lan Ling said with some embarrassment. I didn't think about this before. Since that's the case, what are we waiting for? Let's call your grandma and ask her if she has a good idea. Since Yang Ming found a way, he naturally couldn't hold back and wanted to leave now. Sure. Lan Ling saw that Yang Ming cheered up and was very happy. Xia Shui, who was on the side, finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Yang Ming had regained his previous confidence. Although they didn't know if Lan Ling's grandmother would have a solution, it seemed that this was a good thing for now. Yang Ming was a person who acted swiftly. Since he thought of a solution, he immediately put it into action. He directly gathered Lin Dongfang, Lu Qianqi, Lu Yezi, Feng Tianlong, and the others and told them about Lan Ling's proposal. After everyone heard it, they were all delighted. After all, what Yang Ming said might really be a solution. Everyone was immersed in a depressed and helpless mood these days. After listening to Yang Ming's words, they were all refreshed. But this time, I don't want to go with too many people. I think only Lan Ling and I will go and make a call. You guys stay here. I am afraid that when Elder Yu sends someone and finds that we are not here, he will be suspicious. Yang Ming suggested. Although no one stayed in the research room when they left several times before, it was because Yang Ming and others had no ulterior motives. They simply drove the battery car to look for medicinal materials. Even if Elder Yu found out, they could completely excuse that they were looking for medicinal materials to refine Jin Gang voodoo. It would not bring any consequences to them at all. But now it was different. Yang Ming was going to Sun Sikong's place to make a call. If Elder Yu found there, maybe Elder Yu would directly destroy the flying saucer and then destroy the equipment in the cave. That would be a big loss. Therefore, Yang Ming had to be careful. Everyone agreed with Yang Ming's proposal. After all, everyone had just talked to their families not long ago. There was no need to go again. Therefore, this time, Yang Ming, Lan Ling, and Xia Shui drove the battery car to find Sun Sikong to make a call. The others would stay here as usual. Even if Elder Yu sent someone and saw that there were people here, he would not think much even if Yang Ming was not here. Since the decision was made, there was no delay. Yang Ming drove the battery car, carrying Xia Shui and Lan Ling, and drove to the cave where Sun Seekong was. The modified battery car's speed was amazing. This time, there was no pregnant woman in the car. Yang Ming naturally did not need to be so careful when driving, and the speed was much faster. Therefore, Yang Ming and the other two quickly arrived near the cave where Sun Seekong parked the flying saucer. This time, the time taken was much less than the time taken to go back last time. For the appearance of Yang Ming and the others, Sun Seekong seemed to have already known. Before Yang Ming approached, the stone door of the cave slowly rose. Yang Ming was not surprised at this scene. After all, Sun Seekong said that he could receive the information sent by the glasses. Although he could not see the specific image, Yang Ming saw the flying saucer, and this information would be transmitted. What's more, Sun Seekong had been monitoring the movement outside the cave. If an electric car came here, it was impossible for them not to notice it. Yang Ming, it hasn't been long. Why are you here again? Sun Seekong was a little puzzled by Yang Ming's appearance again. Mo Kongwen also appeared at the entrance of the cave at this time. He looked at Yang Ming and said, "I'm afraid you returned without any results, right?" Yang Ming was slightly startled, and then he thought of Mo Kongwen's powerful fortune-telling ability, so he smiled bitterly and said, "Mr. Mo is really a fortune-teller. This time, I indeed returned without any results." "Your Herculean voodoo has no effect?" Sun Seekong asked with some surprise. "Grandpa's son, can't you receive the information sent by my glasses?" Yang Ming was slightly startled. Chapter 2189. You didn't use the special ability of the glasses. How can I receive it? Sun Seekong shook his head and said, "What's more, now I completely trust you. If you didn't send the early warning signal, I wouldn't analyze the signal sent by your glasses. It turns out to be like this." Yang Ming nodded and said, "To be honest with Grandpa's son, the vigor voodoo didn't work as expected. We failed. It doesn't matter if you failed. Failure is the mother of success." Sun Seekong didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. After all, he was a scientist. When he was researching scientific experiments, he often fell into difficulties. Failure was a common occurrence, so he was so calm. "It doesn't matter?" Yang Ming couldn't help but shrug helplessly after listening. "We came here this time to borrow your phone. I don't know if it's okay. Of course, I said that when you want to get in touch with the outside world, you can come at any time." Sun Seekong nodded indifferently and said, "But didn't you just call not long ago?" "It's different this time. Lan Ling is going to call her grandmother. Maybe her grandmother has a way to deal with Elder Yu," said Yang Ming. "Elder Yu? Okay, then you can call," said Sun Seekong. Yang Ming and Lan Ling didn't hesitate and directly entered the cave. Xia Shui waited by the side. She didn't need to be here for the time being. She came here to accompany Yang Ming and Lan Ling and enjoy the scenery. Lan Ling came to the phone and dialed the phone number. After a while, the call was finally connected. Last time, Lan Ling didn't call home because she left Lan Miao village without the support of most people in Lan Miao village. So, before the matter was resolved, Lan Ling didn't want to contact her grandmother. This was also the reason why she had some stubbornness in her heart. But now, there was really no way, so Lan Ling dialed her grandmother's phone. "Hello." Lan Ling's grandmother's voice came from the phone. In the past, there was no cell phone signal near Lan Miao village, so she rarely used the phone. After the satellite phone was installed, she basically didn't use it. Especially Lan Ling's grandmother's phone, she didn't use it much. Therefore, she was a little curious as to who would call her at this time. "Grandma, it's me, Ling Ling." When Lan Ling heard her grandma's voice, a strong sense of longing welled up in her heart. "Ling Ling, it's you." Grandma Lan was surprised and happy when she heard Lan Ling's voice. "Ling Ling, how are you? Are you okay? Ever since you left, there hasn't been any news. Grandma is very anxious, but there's nothing we can do." "Grandma, I'm fine. There's no danger for the time being." Lan Ling said, "Don't worry. I'm with Yang Ming. That's good. It's good that you're fine. You and Elder Yu." Recently, Blue Miao village did not receive any news about Elder Yu. Of course, Elder Yu would not reveal information about Yang Ming and the others to anyone other than his trusted subordinates. After all, Elder Yu's subordinates were not completely united. There must be people from Blue Meow Village among them, just like how Elder Yu's subordinates were also in Blue Meow Village. Therefore, if Elder Yu wanted to show off, he could only show off to his partner, Dongjun. He really did not dare to say anything to other people. As a result, Lan Ling's grandma had not received any useful news until now. Elder Yu's matter is what I want to talk to you about. As Lan Ling said this, she told her grandma everything that happened during this period of time in detail, including the initial use of the simplified version of the Herculean voodoo to deal with Elder Yu to the current use of the complete version of the Herculean voodoo to deal with Elder Yu. Both methods could not cause any harm to Elder Yu. This was a reason why Lan Ling was anxious. The complete version of the Herculean voodoo has no effect on him, and you have actually succeeded in refining it? Grandma Lan was a little surprised after listening to Lan Ling's words. In fact, Blue Meow Village was also studying the Herculean voodoo relentlessly, but there was no result. She did not expect Lan Ling to not only succeed in researching the Herculean voodoo, but also the Jin Gang voodoo. However, the most depressing thing was that the complete version of the Herculean voodoo had no effect on Elder Yu's variant Jin Gang voodoo. Yes, it has no effect. Lan Ling said truthfully, it's impossible to deal with Elder Yu using ordinary methods. So, Yang Ming, and I want to ask you to think of a way. Otherwise, we'll be trapped here and can't get out. Of course, Lan Ling did not mention the flying saucer. If they wanted to leave, they could still escape. However, if they escaped, Yang Ming's mission would definitely not be completed. Moreover, Yang Ming could not leave. After all, he had already formed a grudge with Elder Yu. Even if Yang Ming left, Elder Yu would probably seek revenge. So they had to make a conclusion. What's more, Elder Yu wanted to return to Blue Meow Village. His ambition to control Blue Meow Village had always been there. How could Lan Ling let him succeed? I have to think about this. I have no way now. Grandma Lan said, but give me some time. Let me think of other solutions. Okay, then we will contact you again after a while. Asked Lan Ling, can I call back this number? When I call this number, can I reach you? Asked Grandma Lan. Grandma, wait. Let me ask. Lan Ling was not sure if she could reach her by calling this number. So she turned to look at Sun Sikong and asked, Grandpa's son, can you call back this number? Of course, there should be a caller ID there. This phone also has a number, said Sun Sikong. Sun Sikong said, although this phone can establish contact with aliens, since it can make ordinary calls, it naturally has a transfer number. Okay, Grandma, if you think of a way, can you call this number to find me? Said Lan Ling, okay, Ling Ling. You and Yang Ming should also pay attention to safety and protect yourselves. Grandma Lan instructed. The call ended. Although Lan Ling's grandmother did not think of a good way for the time being, she was an old person with rich experience in voodoo. She should be able to think of some countermeasures. Perhaps she could upgrade the Herculean voodoo into the Super Herculean voodoo? Grandpa's son, if my grandmother calls, can you please inform us? Lan Ling turned to ask Sun Sikong. Of course, when there is news, I will inform you. Sun Sikong nodded without hesitation. Chapter 2190. But how do I inform you? Yang Ming was a little puzzled. It's so far away. Does Sun Sikong have other ways to contact me? Since I can receive the signal from your glasses, you can naturally receive the signal I send you. It's just that I haven't used this function yet. Sun Sikong smiled and said, when there is a call, I will inform you and send a flying saucer to pick you up to answer the call. Ah. Yang Ming was slightly stunned and immediately said gratefully, thank you so much, Grandpa's son. It's nothing. In fact, assisting you is what I should do. It's just that my previous research direction was on these application-type technological products. If I were like Dr. Benjamin, specializing in improving the potential of the human body, then it would not be a problem to help you deal with Elder Yu. Sun Sikong said with some regret. Yes. Yang Ming nodded. With Sun Sikong's ability, It was not difficult to study these, but it was not something that could be done overnight, so Yang Ming did not ask him to change his field to study these. Of course, even if it was requested, Sun Sikong's equipment here was limited. There was no way to start the research. Grandpa Sun, then we will leave first. Yang Ming hesitated and did not call home again. After all, he had just called before, and there was nothing important. Yang Ming naturally would not call again, even if he missed them. Okay, I will inform you as soon as I have news, said Sun Sikong. After the phone call, Yang Ming, Lan Ling, and Xia Shui left. The longer they stayed here, the easier it was to arouse Elder Yu's vigilance and suspicion. So Yang Ming drove back after finishing his business. In the past few days, Yang Ming and Lan Ling had been waiting for news from Grandma Lan. Although they knew that news couldn't be obtained overnight, they still couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Songjiang City, Huashang District, Yang Ming's villa. Jing Xiaolu came home from work, but she was a little anxious and nervous because today was her birthday. After Jing Xiaolu became the company's chairman, it was naturally impossible for her to celebrate her birthday with her colleagues. The people who knew Jing Xiaolu's birthday were only a few people who were close to Jing Xiaolu in the past. Other people did not know about Jing Xiaolu's birthday at all. Wan Xiaoru happened to be a colleague who knew Jing Xiaolu's birthday. At that time, when Jing Xiaolu first came to the company, Wan Xiaoru took care of her. Of course, since Jing Xiaolu became the vice president, she also transferred Wan Xiaoru to her office to be responsible for her secretary's work. Wan Xiaoru used to do similar secretarial work, so she was familiar with helping Jing Xiaolu. However, today was Jing Xiaolu's birthday. Wan Xiaoru wanted to celebrate Jing Xiaolu's birthday. They agreed to go to Jing Xiaolu's home, but Jing Xiaolu was now living in Yang Ming's home. Although she was the company's chairman outside, she could only be regarded as a small little wife at home. Chen Mingyan and Sun Jie were the decision-makers. She did not dare to bring her colleague home. However, it was not possible to go out to celebrate her birthday because they had agreed before that Chen Mingyan and others would celebrate Jing Xiaolu's birthday at home. So Jing Xiaolu had no choice but to bring Wan Xiaoru home. But she had to ask Chen Mingyan and Sun Jie, "Xiaolu, what's wrong with you? Today is your birthday. Why do you look unhappy?" Chen Mingyan looked strangely at Jing Xiaolu, who was obviously a little uneasy, and asked, "Sister Mingyan, Jing Xiaolu stopped talking. She was very cautious at home. She did not have the previous arrogance and confidence in the company. She felt that it was very good to be recognized by Sun Jie and Chen Mingyan. She never thought that she could have a say at home." "What's wrong?" Chen Mingyan frowned. "If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you so hesitant?" "Actually, the matter is like this. I have a good colleague who wants to celebrate my birthday, but my sisters at home have prepared for me today. I can't go out to eat, but she wants to come home to help me celebrate my birthday. I don't know if I should let her come." Jing Xiaolu said carefully. "Is this the case?" Chen Mingyan couldn't help but laugh after listening. "This is not a big deal. Since she is your good colleague, then let her come home. Then your identities—" Jing Xiaolu didn't know how to introduce Chen Mingyan and the others to Wan Xiaoru. After all, Wan Xiaoru should not know the relationship between Yang Ming and Chen Mingyan and the others. Although Wan Xiaoru already knew that Yang Ming was the actual chairman of Mingyang Entertainment, this was a matter that was publicized before, so Wan Xiaoru was not surprised that Jing Xiaolu took over as the chairman. In her opinion, Jing Xiaolu was Yang Ming's girlfriend, so it was reasonable for her to manage the company. But the relationship between Chen Mingyan and Yang Ming was not easy to explain. "You were talking about this. Anyway, Yang Ming is not here. You can just introduce us as your good friends." Chen Mingyan smiled indifferently. "We will also pretend to be guests and celebrate your birthday at home with you." Thank you, Sister Mingyan," Jing Xiaolu said, very emotionally. She didn't expect Chen Mingyan to agree to her request so quickly. She was also willing to be a foil, which made her very surprised. For a long time, Jing Xiaolu was a little cautious in front of Chen Mingyan. After all, she had a bad record. When she was in the cafeteria, she had offended Chen Mingyan. Moreover, she had other boyfriend before. Although they could not be considered boyfriends, their character was not very good. So Jing Xiaolu did not dare to mention anything inappropriate in front of Chen Mingyan. What is there to think? We are a family. Besides, today is your birthday. You are the boss. Chen Mingyan smiled and said, "You call your colleagues to come. I will talk to the others. We will all be your friends." Okay. Jing Xiaolu nodded happily. You don't look like a chairman at all. I don't know how you convince the people in the company. Chen Mingyan shook her head and smiled bitterly. You look at Sister Sunjia. She looks like a chairman. Jing Xiaolu was a little embarrassed. Isn't it because of the help of Yang Ming's two men? If Brother Bao and Brother Ho weren't here to help, how could I control the situation? I'm so busy today. Sister Mingyan, why don't you talk to Sister Sunjia and ask her to help me? Anyway, her company in Donghai has been handed over to Tian Donghua to manage. She has nothing to do. Chapter 2191. Although the company was left to Jing Xiaolu by Yang Ming at that time, Jing Xiaolu didn't want to take the company for herself since she moved to the villa. Since everyone was Yang Ming's woman, they all had the same weight and goal, so these things were everyone's. Then, I will talk to Sister Sunjia. I don't know if she can help. Chen Mingyan and Lin Jiyun were still working in Zhang Bin's jewelry company, so they didn't have time to help Jing Xiaolu. At present, only Sun Jie was free. Okay, thank you, Sister Mingyan. I'm going to make a call. Jing Xiaolu ran to call Luan Xiaoru happily. Sister Xiaolu, you finally called me. My boyfriend and I have bought the gifts. We were just waiting for your call. Luan Xiaoru's voice came from the phone. Although Jing Xiaolu was now the chairman, Luan Xiaoru still called her Sister Xiaolu in private. She only called her Miss Jing or Chairman Jing in the company. This was also Jing Xiaolu's request. Otherwise, she only had one friend in the company. If she called her so formally after work, then they couldn't play together. I'm at home. Because there will be a lot of friends at home today, I prepared in advance. Jing Xiaolu said, Your boyfriend is coming too? Isn't he very busy? No matter how busy he is, he has to come for your birthday. He has to come, Luan Xiaoru said with a smile. Where are you? Let's drive over now. In the Huashang district, the first villa in the villa area. It's called Sun Moon Residence, said Jing Xiaolu. Jing Xiaolu wasn't familiar with Luan Xiaoru's boyfriend. In her memory, she had only seen him once or twice. Moreover, it was when he went to the company to deliver things to Luan Xiaoru. At other times, he was nowhere to be seen. She didn't expect that he would have time to attend her birthday party today. Okay, got it. Let's drive over now, said Luan Xiaoru. On Chen Mingyan's side, she had also explained everything properly. Everyone would attend the birthday banquet as Jing Xiaolu's classmates, business partners, and good friends. They would be guests at that time, and Jing Xiaolu would be the owner of this villa. Of course, no one had any opinion. After all, Jing Xiaolu only celebrated her birthday once a year. Everyone's purpose was to make her happy. Everyone's relationship with Yang Ming was known to themselves. There was no need to tell everyone. Soon, there was the sound of the doorbell at the door of the villa. Jing Xiaolu quickly ran over and opened the door of the villa. Sure enough, she saw Luan Xiaoru standing at the door, and her boyfriend had not gotten out of the car yet. He was parking the car in the parking space at the door of the villa that I found it so quickly. At this time, Luan Xiaoru's boyfriend also parked the car. He drove a Lexus LX 570, which made Jing Xiaolu slightly surprised. The price of this car was not low. The total cost was 2 million yuan. Luan Xiaoru's boyfriend was rich. Jing Xiaolu's own BMW X5 was not as expensive as his car. But looking at Luan Xiaoru's usual appearance, she did not spend much money. It made Jing Xiaolu feel that she was also low-key. Miss Jing, happy birthday. After Luan Xiaoru's boyfriend parked the car, he got out of the car with a small box and handed it to Jing Xiaolu. This is for you. It's a gift from Xiaoru and me. Thank you. Jing Xiaolu took the gift and then smiled at Luan Xiaoru. Don't you want to introduce him? I should have introduced him a long time ago, but my husband is too busy. I haven't had a chance to meet him. Luan Xiaoru smiled and pointed to her boyfriend. Sister Xiaolu, his name is Li Boyang. He works in an import and export trading company. I have heard of your name for a long time, but I haven't seen you in person. Jing Xiaolu smiled and nodded to Li Boyang. I don't need to introduce myself. Let's go in. The other friends are here too. Okay. Luan Xiaoru and Li Boyang entered the villa hand in hand. The other girls knew that Jing Xiaolu's good friends were here, so they all stood up to show politeness. Let me introduce these two friends to everyone. After Luan Xiaoru and Li Boyang entered the house, Jing Xiaolu took the initiative to introduce them. This is Luan Xiaoru. She's a colleague in my company and one of my good friends. This is her boyfriend, Li Boyang. He works in a trading company. He is tall, rich, and handsome. Luan Xiaoru smiled and greeted everyone. Li Boyang was about to greet her, but he saw a few acquaintances among Jing Xiaolu's friends. Zhou Jia, Teacher Xiao. Li Boyang looked at Zhou Jia and Xiao Qing with some surprise. He didn't know why the two of them were here. Li Boyang, hello. I didn't expect you to remember me. Zhou Jia naturally knew Li Boyang. This person was the president of the Computer Association of Songjiang Industry University. At that time, when she and Yang Ming went to school, this person tried to invite her and Yang Ming to join the association. But later, Zhou Jia joined Xiao Qing's research group. Naturally, she had no contact with Li Boyang. However, everyone was a popular figure in the school's computer department. It was normal to know each other. How can I not remember? Your reputation is like thunder in my ears. Teacher Zhao's proud disciple. Li Boyang smiled. Boyang, how are you recently? Xiao Qing also smiled and nodded to him. Xiao Qing was the dean of the school's computer department, and Li Boyang was the former president of the Computer Association. The two people would definitely meet often because of work. But later, Li Boyang graduated and interned, so there was no more contact. Not bad. I work in an import and export trading company. The boss thinks highly of me. He even gave me a car. Li Boyang smiled and said, I'm not tall, rich, and handsome. The car isn't my own. Haha, that is also a potential stock. Jing Xiaolu smiled and said, if your boss didn't think highly of you, it would be impossible to give you such an expensive car. While talking and laughing, Jing Xiaolu introduced the others to Luan Xiaoru and Li Boyang. Because they were all young people, everyone quickly became familiar with each other. When it was time to eat, the atmosphere of the birthday party became more enthusiastic. However, Li Boyang was indeed a person with outstanding eloquence. He was eloquent and had a wide range of knowledge. It allowed everyone to gain a lot of knowledge. Right, Sister Xiaolu, why don't I see your boyfriend? Luan Xiaoru suddenly asked. Yeah, I heard from Xiaoru that your boyfriend is a powerful person. I spent a lot of effort to ask for leave from the boss. I wanted to get to know him, but he doesn't seem to be here. Li Boyang also said with a smile. Chapter 2192. Yang Ming. He has something to do, so he hasn't come back yet. Jing Xiaolu said embarrassedly. Next time, when he comes back, let's have a meal together. Yang Ming? This name sounds familiar. He's also from our school, right? Li Boyang asked after some hesitation. Although he and Jing Xiaolu were not in the same class, they were still considered schoolmates. He's also from our school. He has participated in several competitions and is quite famous. Jing Xiaolu nodded and said. However, Li Boyang didn't seem to be interested in these activities. At that time, he was about to graduate and go to find a job for an internship, so he had only heard of Yang Ming. He didn't have any impression of him. Then let's wait for him to come back. We'll get to know him when we have the chance. Zhou Jia pursed her lips. She wanted to say that when the Computer Association was recruiting members, she and Yang Ming went together. Li Boyang was also present at that time. However, it was impossible for Li Boyang to remember Yang Ming at that time. After all, it was just a chance meeting. There were too many new students. How could he remember them all? As for Li Boyang knowing Zhou Jia, it was because Zhou Jia participated in Xiao Qing's research group, and was a famous person in the computer department. Therefore, Zhou Jia hesitated and didn't say it. After all, if Li Boyang asked why Zhou Jia and Yang Ming went to the Computer Association together, it would be difficult for her to explain. Jing Xiaolu's birthday passed in a lively atmosphere. The only regret was that Bai Hai, Gu Xinyao, and Lu Huamei were not invited. Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao went on a trip, and Lu Huamei was further away. She was also busy with the company's affairs. The entire Lu family's business was managed by her. The workload could be imagined. In the evening, Jing Xiaolu sent Wan Xiaoru and Li Boyang away and returned to the living room tiredly. Xiaolu, is this Luan Xiaoru your colleague in the company? The others didn't say anything, but Sun Jie asked after some hesitation. Yeah, when I first came to the company, Xiaoru helped me enthusiastically. Later, when I became the chairman, I transferred her to be my secretary. Jing Xiaolu nodded and said, Oh, then she's an ordinary employee in the company? How much is her monthly salary? Asked Sun Jie. When I was an ordinary clerk, it was more than 2,000, but now that I'm a full-time secretary, it's more than 10,000. Jing Xiaolu said, Sister Sun Jie, why do you ask? Nothing. I just feel that this person doesn't seem like a small office worker. Judging from her eating posture and temperament, she seems like a well-bred young lady who has received special training. Why is she only a clerk? Sun Jie shook her head. Moreover, her boyfriend drives a Lexus LX 570. Is this the car of an ordinary trading company's staff? He's at least a vice president or above, right? I'm a little puzzled too, but her boyfriend is really busy. Maybe it's because of his outstanding performance that the boss appreciates him, said Jing Xiaolu. Maybe I'm overthinking. These two people are a bit awkward. Sun Jie frowned. She didn't find anything too strange. It was not impossible for a well-bred young lady to work as an ordinary clerk in the company. It was normal for a particularly powerful employee to be appreciated by the boss with a car worth 2 million yuan. However, when these two people were together, it made Sun Jie feel awkward. It's fine once you get used to it. Xiaoru is still a very good person, said Jing Xiaolu. Right. Ming Yin said that you want me to go to the company to help you. Sun Jie changed the topic and no longer entangled with Luan Xiaoru and Li Boyang. Yeah, there are a lot of things in the company. Sister Sun Jie, I used to be just an ordinary working girl. It's a little hard to put me in this position all of a sudden. During this time, if it weren't for the help of Brother Bao and Brother Ho, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things, said Jing Xiaolu. All right, then I'll go to the company with you tomorrow. You can just arrange a position for me. Sun Jie nodded and agreed. Anyway, I'll be working for Yang Ming. How can that be? If Sister Sun Jie goes, I'll let you be the chairman, said Jing Xiaolu quickly. Don't. Sun Jie quickly waved her hand and said, just arrange an executive vice president for me. Don't be the chairman. Donghai's Sun family's business has just been managed by Tian Donghua. I just breathed a sigh of relief. I don't want to be too tired. Xiaolu, you're still young. You can't just count on me. Hee, that's fine too. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Early the next morning, Sun Jie and Jing Xiaolu went to the company. This move made the other girls a little surprised. They all knew that Sun Jie was very busy in Donghai's company. Now that she was finally free, she must have a carefree life at home. They just didn't expect her to go to Jing Xiaolu's company the next day. Although Jing Xiaolu was also very surprised, she was still very happy. With Sun Jie's help, she could save a lot of worry. However, no one knew the purpose of Sun Jie going to the company. Only she knew what she was going to do in Jing Xiaolu's company, at Dong Jun's and Huang Youcai's residence. Dong Jun just got the news from Fong Tian that Yang Ming forgave him. He was excited and happy. Since Huang Youcai had also made a decision, the next step was naturally to fully assist Dong Jun to collect, analyze, and research about Dr. Benjamin and the center. Unfortunately, the central structure was too strict. Everyone was only connected through a single line. Even Dong Jun himself had only met a few people from the central when he was carrying out missions. He only knew them because of Dr. Benjamin's recommendation. Otherwise, Dong Jun would never have known that some people were actually part of the Central. Although Dong Jun's understanding of Yang Ming before, it was not surprising that Yang Ming could forgive him. But when he heard Yang Ming say to Fong Tian that he forgave him, Dong Jun still had a feeling of escaping from death. It was just that Dong Jun was very puzzled. Wasn't Yang Ming caught by Elder Yu in the valley? Isn't he unable to contact the outside world? How can he still call Fong Tian? This made him feel very strange, but there was hope in his heart. Since Yang Ming could hide from Elder Yu and silently contact Fong Tian, it meant that Yang Ming still had a trump card. Previously, Dong Jun felt that Yang Ming was deliberately caught by Elder Yu, and the current situation proved this, which made Dong Jun very gratified. A phone rang. Dong Jun was slightly stunned and picked up the phone. Not many people knew this phone number. Generally, there were very few people who called, so Dong Jun felt a little strange when he heard the phone ring. Chapter 2193. Dong Jun picked up the phone, glanced at the caller ID above, and frowned suddenly. The caller was actually Elder Yu. For this pretentious guy, Dong Jun had no interest in continuing to chat with him. After all, since Dong Jun intended to leave Dr. Benjamin's center, he had become on the same side as Yang Ming. Therefore, Dong Jun didn't want to maintain a close relationship with Elder Yu. But in order not to let Elder Yu see any flaws and not let Dr. Benjamin doubt him, Dong Jun could only continue to be polite to Elder Yu. After all, Dr. Benjamin asked him to pay attention to Yang Ming's news at all times. If he didn't care about this, then there must be a problem. So after Dong Jun adjusted his mood, he pretended to be very enthusiastic and answered the phone. Hello, Elder Yu? You haven't called me for a long time. Are you a rare guest? Originally, before Elder Yu called Dong Jun, he was still a little nervous. After all, when he called Dong Jun last time, Dong Jun was indifferent. Elder Yu wanted to find someone to show off his results, but this person couldn't be his subordinate. Only Dong Jun was his former collaborator. However, when he heard Dong Jun's enthusiastic voice, Elder Yu was relieved. Perhaps Dong Jun was in a bad mood when he answered the phone last time, so Elder Yu didn't care too much. At least this time, Dong Jun's attitude made him very satisfied. Haha, Falcon, I can hear that you seem to be in a good mood. Elder Yu said with a smile. It's okay. Haha, you don't know. I did a big thing before, said Dong Jun. Oh, what big thing? Elder Yu asked, baffled. I sent the photos of Yang Ming and his woman together to Yang Ming's first wife. At that time, I am afraid that his family will be in chaos. Ha ha ha. Dong Jun deliberately said this in order to show his closeness to Elder Yu. Although he already knew that this matter was successfully resolved by Chun Mingyan and others, he still took it out as a topic to talk about. It turned out to be like this. Ha, you are quite sarcastic. Elder Yu smiled and said, however, what you are doing is not as interesting as what I am doing here. Oh, what have you been up to recently? Dong Jun pretended to be very interested and asked. In fact, Dong Jun already knew about Yang Ming's recent situation from Fong Tian. Haha, let me tell you. As Elder Yu spoke, he told Dong Jun that Yang Ming and the others had plotted several times to deal with him, but they had failed. In the end, he laughed and said, Yang Ming is like a clown in my hands. He can't escape from my palm. They are probably full of hope to deal with me every time, but in the end, it is all in vain. There is no progress at all. So that's how it is. Ha 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 ha. That Yang Ming is really stupid. Dong Jun said so, but he was secretly anxious in his heart. Yang Ming was actually helpless? Doesn't that mean that Yang Ming's method is ineffective and he can't deal with Elder Yu? Now, Yang Ming's safety was closely related to Dong Jun. If Yang Ming could come back smoothly, it was naturally good. Dong Jun could deal with Central with him. If Yang Ming couldn't come back, then Dong Jun would be miserable. With his own strength, it was impossible to compete with Central. As for Elder Yu, Dong Jun simply didn't think about cooperating with him. The two people were simply in a relationship of pure interest. It was a joke to ask Elder Yu to help deal with Central and Dr. Benjamin. Elder Yu probably wouldn't agree. If the news was leaked out at that time, Dong Jun would be dead. Therefore, Dong Jun didn't think about having a deep relationship with this kind of person who he wasn't sure about. Yeah, how about it? Have you thought about it? Are you coming or not? Let's see how miserable Yangming is. Elder Yu once again issued an invitation to Dong Jun. In fact, Elder Yu is also a person with inflated self-esteem. He wanted to show off his achievements to others, but looking at the people around him, he could only show off in front of Dong Jun. As for his subordinates, they were the same flattering and fawning every day, which made Elder Yu lose interest. Therefore, he wanted to make Dong Jun come here to show off how powerful he was to make Yangming a fool. Oh, it's okay to go over. Then I will go and see. Dong Jun hesitated and said ambiguously, then, I will prepare here and contact you again. Okay, then I will wait for the good news. Elder Yu nodded and said, what Dong Jun wanted was to discuss with Fong Tian whether to go or not. Moreover, before going, he had to talk to Dr. Benjamin, so Dong Jun couldn't make a decision for a while. However, before Dong Jun could take the initiative to contact Dr. Benjamin, Dr. Benjamin's news came first. Looking at the information on the computer screen, Dong Jun quickly adjusted his emotions. He had to be vigilant at all times so that Dr. Benjamin would not notice anything wrong. Falcon, how are things recently? Is there any news about Yangming? Asked Dr. Benjamin. Although he didn't know why Dr. Benjamin suddenly became interested in Yangming, Dong Jun didn't dare to ask too much. After all, he was just a chess piece in Dr. Benjamin's hands, not an equal existence to Dr. Benjamin. If he asked too much, he would violate the rules of Central. There is news. I got in touch with Elder Yu and asked about Yangming's recent situation. As Dong Jun said, he told Dr. Benjamin about what Elder Yu had told him before. Moreover, he even said that Elder Yu invited him to go to Miaojiang to see Yangming. Oh, Elder Yu actually asked you to see Yangming? Said Dr. Benjamin. Did you agree? Not yet. I want to ask for your opinion. If you want me to go, then I will go and see. Said Dong Jun. Then you go and see. Remember, pay attention to whether there is anything strange about Yangming. The most important thing is whether there is any special ability or something like that, said Dr. Benjamin. Special ability? Okay. Dong Jun was baffled. Why does Dr. Benjamin suspect that Yangming has special abilities? Also, how is your investigation in Songjiang City? Do the people around Yangming know if there is anything strange about Yangming? Asked Dr. Benjamin. I really didn't pay attention to this. Although I try to contact the people around Yangming as senior brother Yangming, it needs a gradual process. It is not so easy to contact, said Dong Jun. Chapter 2194. And I know, you don't have to be responsible for this matter. I will arrange for other people to do it. You go and see Yangming first. Get in touch with him and see if there is anything strange about Yangming. Dr. Benjamin instructed. Okay, I got it. Dong Jun replied. Then I will reply to Elder Yu. I will go over now. You don't have to intervene in the things in Songjiang City for the time being. I have already activated other people. Elder Yu said, you can rest assured and contact Yangming. You don't have to worry about this side. The people here are... Dong Jun was shocked. Although he had long suspected that he was not the only person arranged by Central in Songjiang City, it was only a suspicion because Dr. Benjamin never let them contact each other and never mentioned it. But Dr. Benjamin didn't mention it until it was useful. It could be seen how powerful Dr. Benjamin was. Even Dong Jun had never heard of the other people he hid in Songjiang City. However, if these people were not clear, Dong Jun was a little worried. What if his contact with Yangming was discovered by these people? Even if he was careful, it was also a very painful thing to have someone monitoring him. Falcon, you are not a newcomer. You grew up in Central since you were a child. Don't you know the rules of Central? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Dr. Benjamin said sternly. Yes, Doctor, I don't mean anything else. I just want to hand over to him and share with him my experience of Yangming these days. Dong Jun was shocked and said with cold sweat, Humph. You have to know that when you should be contacted, you will naturally be contacted. Don't ask about things that you shouldn't be contacted. Dr. Benjamin said, I understand. Dong Jun said in fear and trepidation. Well, you can contact Elder Yu yourself. Let me know when to depart, said Dr. Benjamin. Yes, doctor, Dong Jun said quickly. Seeing the end of the dialogue box, Dong Jun broke out in a cold sweat. He was almost suspected by Dr. Benjamin. If he really suspected anything, it would not be worth it. Thinking of this, Dong Jun secretly decided that he would never ask anything that he shouldn't ask in the future. Otherwise, if Dr. Benjamin really found out something was wrong in advance, then things would get out of hand. In the evening, Dong Jun came to Fong Tian's house in the dark. Since he knew that Dr. Benjamin still had people in Songjiang City, Dong Jun had become more cautious. He followed the principle of being careful and making no mistakes. He avoided being found out before he completely fell out with Dr. Benjamin. You're here. Fong Tian saw Dong Jun come in and nodded to him. Master, I got some latest news about Yang Ming from Elder Yu, so I came to discuss it with you. Dong Jun said. Oh, what news? Fong Tian asked curiously. After all, Yang Ming had just called not long ago. It's like this. As Dong Jun spoke, he repeated Yang Ming's encounter in Miaojiang and what Elder Yu said to Fong Tian. According to Elder Yu, Yang Ming can't compete with him at all. He's just playing with Yang Ming with a playful attitude, and Yang Ming is defeated again and again. Really? Fong Tian's face changed slightly after hearing it. When Yang Ming called before, he confidently told Fong Tian that they already had a way to deal with Elder Yu. But now it seemed that this method did not work. Elder Yu was better, and Yang Ming and others ended in failure. Elder Yu shouldn't lie, Dong Jun said, and he also invited me to go to Miaojiang to see Yang Ming's frustrated look after his failure. I guess he wants to show me how powerful he is, so this matter can't be fake. So, Yang Ming is in danger. Fong Tian sighed and said without worry, it turns out that it's not us who have a trump card, but Elder Yu also has his trump card. This is natural. Elder Yu is not a fool. It is definitely impossible for him not to guess how Yang Ming wants to deal with him. Dong Jun nodded and said, but I am thinking, even if I go to Miaojiang, how can I help Yang Ming? This is also true. Fong Tian smiled bitterly. Are you complaining that I didn't teach you the ability of an assassin? How can it be? Dong Jun quickly shook his head and said, Master, you and Yang Ming can let me go this time. It is already a great kindness. How can I complain? Besides, even if I master the ability of an assassin, it is naturally no problem to deal with ordinary people. But in the face of a higher level, such as Elder Yu, a mutated guy, what is the use of the ability of an assassin? He is invulnerable. He is a complete monster. This is the most troublesome problem. Fong Tian smiled bitterly. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and asked, can't you poison him? If you go to Miaojiang, you should have a chance to contact Elder Yu. Can you poison him to death? This seems to be impossible. I heard Elder Yu boast to me before that Jin Gang Voodoo is invulnerable to external attacks. Is also invulnerable to internal attacks. Ordinary poisons have no effect on him. Dong Jun said, if it can be poisoned, Yang Ming probably would have thought of it. That is a headache. Fong Tian also frowned. He didn't know what to do. Forget it. Anyway, I have to go to Miaojiang. Dr. Benjamin also asked me to go. Dong Jun said, now I am not worried about how to deal with Elder Yu. After all, that is Yang Ming's matter. It is useless for us to worry about it. What I am worried about is whether the other people that Dr. Benjamin arranged here will affect our plan. Another person arranged? Fong Tian nodded and said, I will pay attention to this. I will do my best to see if I can find out. But if it is too secretive, then I can't do anything. After all, the people trained by Dr. Benjamin are not trivial. I found out about your problem a long time ago. Master, please don't scold me. Aren't you mocking me? Dong Jun smiled bitterly. That's fine. Then I will reply to Elder Yu. I will prepare in these few days and go to Miaojiang. But you must be careful. Don't let Elder Yu see it. You and Yang Ming have actually resolved your grievances. Fong Tian said this and was worried. Now I can't contact Yang Ming. If I can contact Yang Ming, I should inform him in advance. Chapter 2195. That's true. Let's say hello to avoid being exposed. If he forgives me directly in front of Elder Yu, then it will be a big deal. Dong Jun also nodded. It's just that when Yang Ming called last time, there was no caller ID. Maybe he used some kind of hidden method. I can't contact Yang Ming again. Fong Tian said with regret. Yang Ming called using Sun Sikong's phone. Under normal circumstances, although this phone had a normal line number, it could also broadcast to an alien planet, so the caller ID was not displayed under normal circumstances. However, in order to let Lan Ling's grandmother contact him, Yang Ming deliberately told her the normal transfer number of this phone. As for Fong Tian and others, Yang Ming didn't think about letting them call him at all. After all, he wasn't next to the phone, so it was useless to call. This is a big problem. If I don't tell Yang Ming in advance, I'm afraid there will be a problem at that time. Dong Jun said with concern. Although I don't think Yang Ming is so stupid, if you really want to contact Yang Ming, then I can recommend two people to you. You can go to them. Maybe you can find Yang Ming's phone number. Fong Tian hesitated and said, Who are they? Dong Jun asked quickly. Xiao Qing and Zhou Jiajia. Fong Tian said. Both of them are computer experts. If you look for them, you should be able to find out which number Yang Ming used to call. Okay, then I'll go to them. Dong Jun was reminded by Fong Tian and also remembered that there were two computer geniuses around Yang Ming. Last time, he was pulled out from behind the scenes by Fong Tian and Wang Xiaoyan because Xiao Qing and Zhou Jiajia cracked the phone's chip and found his contact information. Therefore, thinking of this, Dong Jun was full of confidence in them. Although there were similar computer experts in the center, Dong Jun couldn't ask them to do this kind of thing. Dr. Benjamin would definitely doubt his purpose. Thinking of this, Dong Jun bid farewell to Fong Tian and drove to Yang Ming's home. Today, Sun Jia had been working at Mingyang Entertainment for a week. During this week, she helped Jing Xiaolu do a lot of things, and she was also very familiar with Wan Xiaoru. After all, as someone who was also trusted by Jing Xiaolu, Sun Jia and Wan Xiaoru had no less opportunities to interact with each other than Jing Xiaolu. Wan Xiaoru used to take a bus or a taxi to work every day, but since her boyfriend Li Buliang showed his economic strength that day, Wan Xiaoru drove her new car in less than 2 days. It was a Mercedes-Benz GLK. Although the price was not as expensive as Li Buliang's Lexus LX570, it was still a good car among the white-collar workers in the company. One had to know that most of the employees who worked in the entertainment company drove a car that cost around 100,000 yuan. A Mercedes-Benz that cost 400,000 yuan was already the car of the department manager. However, as Jing Xiaolu's full-time secretary, Wan Xiaoru was not too conspicuous driving a car worth more than 400,000 yuan. After work today, they agreed that Wan Xiaoru would come to the house for dinner, and Jing Xiaolu also said that she would invite all her friends from her previous birthday, of course. This proposal was not proposed by Jing Xiaolu, but by Sun Jia. If it were Jing Xiaolu herself, Jing Xiaolu would definitely not be so troublesome. After all, she was not the one who called the shots at home. With Chen Mingyan and Sun Jia, how could it be her turn to treat? However, today's matter was proposed by Sun Jia. So, although Jing Xiaolu was surprised, she still followed Sun Jia's intention and invited Wan Xiaoru back home. The car was parked in the courtyard, but just as the three people's car was parked, another Ferrari sports car stopped in front of the villa, and Dong Jun came out of the car. Sun Jia was slightly stunned after seeing Dong Jun. She didn't expect him to come here today. Dong Jun was also slightly stunned. He didn't expect that in addition to Sun Jia and Jing Xiaolu, there was actually an outsider present. Is he here as a guest? Sun Jia gave Jing Xiaolu a wink. Jing Xiaolu understood and quickly introduced, Xiaoru, this is Dong Jun, a good friend of my boyfriend, Yang Ming. He is also a friend that I invited. As Jing Xiaolu spoke, Sun Jia also gave Dong Jun a wink. How smart was Dong Jun? He immediately understood Sun Jia's meaning. Most likely, this person called Xiaoru was a friend of Jing Xiaolu, and Wan Xiaoru didn't know the relationship between Sun Jia and Yang Ming. So Dong Jun smiled slightly and nodded to Luan Xiaoru. Hello. Hello, Dong Jun. My name is Luan Xiaoru. Luan Xiaoru said politely to Dong Jun. Since there were guests present, Dong Jun couldn't say much. He followed Sun Jie and the others into the house, pretending to be Jing Xiaolu's friend, and sat at the table. Originally, Dong Jun wanted to study Yang Ming's matter with the women, but because Luan Xiaoru was present, he naturally couldn't talk about these topics. Therefore, he just talked about the trivial things in life with everyone at the dinner table and smiled in agreement. However, Dong Jun didn't know why. When he looked at Luan Xiaoru, he felt a little awkward and incongruous, but Dong Jun couldn't tell exactly what was incongruous. Xiaoru, Yang Ming said before that you are really elegant when you eat. He is not wrong at all. You see, although we are all eating, you eat the most refined and well-behaved, as if you have received professional training. Jing Xiaolu smiled and teased. Haha, not all. I just like to imitate after watching too many TV series. Luan Xiaoru said with a smile. However, Jing Xiaolu's words gave Dong Jun a flash of inspiration. Professional training. Yes, no wonder she is so familiar. When Alice eats, she is also very well-behaved and generous like Luan Xiaoru. However, before Alice debuted, she received strict training in the center, and so did I. Could it be that this Luan Xiaoru has also received similar training? However, thinking of this absurd speculation, Dong Jun shook his head again. It should be impossible. After all, this Luan Xiaoru is just a secretary in Jing Xiaolu's company. What's the use of training this thing? After the meal, Luan Xiaoru got up and left. Dong Jun also pretended to leave, but Dong Jun went out and walked around before he came back again. Sorry, I didn't expect you to come today. I invited a colleague here to eat. Sun Jie nodded to Dong Jun, who came back again. It doesn't matter. Dong Jun shook his head. This is other people's home. They can invite whoever they want to. Dong Jun naturally couldn't interfere with this. This colleague is a bit strange. She is like a lady. Chapter 2196. Do you have this feeling too? Sun Jie was slightly stunned. She didn't expect Dong Jun to have the same feeling as her. Yeah, I always feel that she's a bit awkward, but I can't tell what's wrong with her. Dong Jun said truthfully. However, she is just a colleague in your company. There is no need to study her more. That's true, but I always have an uneasy feeling. When I see this person, I feel that she has a purpose for approaching Xiaolu. Sun Jie shrugged and said, Right, why are you here? Is there anything you need? Yes. Dong Jun hesitated and looked outside the villa. Don't worry. Yang Ming has installed monitoring and anti-theft systems inside and outside the villa. With Jia and Sister Xiaoqing, these equipment have been upgraded. No outsiders can sneak in here silently, said Wang Xiaoyan. Dong Jun nodded and said, Elder, you called me before. He called you? Wang Xiaoyan and the others were stunned. Why did he call you? Is it about Yang Ming? Yes, it's about Yang Ming. Dong Jun nodded and didn't hide it. He told the women what Elder you said. After all, they also had the right to know about Yang Ming's news first. What? Yang Ming failed? Chen Mingyin couldn't help but exclaim after listening to Dong Jun's words. The faces of the others were not much better. Even Sun Jie, who had always been calm, changed her expression at the moment. Elder Yu is actually so powerful. He is not even afraid of the Herculean voodoo. Yes, Elder Yu has become an almost invincible existence. Dong Jun smiled bitterly and said, When I learned of this news, I was also very worried. This time, Elder Yu invited me to see him humiliate Yang Ming and show off his ability in front of me. However, I am afraid that Yang Ming will say that he forgave me, causing the whole thing to be exposed. Therefore, I want to ask Jia and Xiaoqing to help and check the number that Yang Ming called last time. If you can find Yang Ming's number, I can contact Yang Ming in advance and remind him not to expose our matter. I can also ask him if he needs my help. I can help him, by the way. Of course. Jia nodded. Leave this to me and Sister Xiaoqing. We will try our best to help you find Yang Ming's phone number. Then please, said Dong Jun, please what? In fact, this is what we should do. If you can call Yang Ming in advance, you can ask Yang Ming if he needs anything. You can secretly bring it to him. It could be considered as helping Yang Ming, said Zhou Jejia. Dong Jun didn't say much and left directly. After all, his current identity was very sensitive. He was also afraid that Dr. Yang Ming would find out that he was too close to Yang Ming's women. He was Yang Ming's senior brother. It was normal to be familiar with Yang Ming's women, but if he was too close, there would be a problem. Yang Ming was not at home. As a senior brother, why did you always go to Yang Ming's house? Therefore, after Dong Jun finished talking, he quickly left. After Dong Jun left, although the women were a little depressed, Zhou Jejia and Xiao Qing still moved and began to investigate Yang Ming's phone number. In Miaojiang's Medicine Valley, Yang Ming and others had their initial leisurely days these days. Of course, it was useless not to be leisurely. After all, Yang Ming was powerless. He had no countermeasures. The others were the same. They had used all the methods that could be used on Elder Yu, but they couldn't bring any substantial harm to Elder Yu. In the end, they were insulted and ridiculed by Elder Yu, which made everyone very depressed. Although it was not to the extent that they lost their confidence because of Elder Yu, it was not very good in their hearts. At present, everyone's only hope was Lan Ling's grandmother. They wanted to see if Lan Ling's grandmother could find any way to deal with Elder Yu. But before Lan Ling's grandmother sent a letter, everyone could only eat, drink, and play in the Medicine Valley with nothing to do. However, everyone also regarded this period of time as a very unforgettable period. If they really defeated Elder Yu, then everyone would definitely not continue to stay in the Medicine Valley like they were now. Moreover, most of them would be separated, and there would be no time for everyone to gather together. In the middle of the night, Yang Ming was sleeping soundly with Lan Ling in his arms. Suddenly, Sun Sikong's voice came into his ears. Yang Ming, hurry up and tidy up. There's a call for you. Yang Ming was shocked and jumped up from the bed. Lan Ling and Xia Shui on the side were shocked. Both of them were awakened by Yang Ming's sudden action. They sat up in a daze and looked at Yang Ming puzzledly. They didn't know what Yang Ming wanted to do in the middle of the night. What's wrong? Lan Ling asked in a daze. Yang Ming wanted to answer, but Sun Sikong's voice sounded in his ears again. The UFO is about to set off to pick you up. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Ling Ling, quickly put on your clothes. The UFO is coming. Yang Ming heard Sun Sikong's voice and subconsciously shouted to Lan Ling, UFO? What UFO? Lan Ling was still a little sleepy, but even if she woke up, she wouldn't understand what Yang Ming meant by the UFO was coming. Grandpa Sun said that there is a call for me. He wants to send a UFO to pick us up, Yang Ming said as he found Lan Ling's pajamas on the side and put them on her. Yang Ming was afraid that the UFO would suddenly appear and connect Lan Ling to the UFO. That would be embarrassing. As for Yang Ming himself, although he only wore underwear, he didn't mind. After all, he was a man. He wasn't afraid of Sun Sikong and Mo Kongwen. Okay. After Lan Ling heard Yang Ming's words, she suddenly woke up a lot. She quickly put on her pajamas and got up from the bed. Yang Ming also put on his clothes. Yang Ming was a person who had undergone strict assassin training. His speed of putting on his clothes was naturally not comparable to Lan Ling. Therefore, he actually finished putting on his clothes before Lan Ling. However, shortly after the two of them put on their clothes, they saw a dazzling white light flash in the room. Then, something incredible happened. Yang Ming and Lan Ling disappeared into thin air under Xia Shui's gaze. If Xia Shui hadn't seen Sun Sikong's advanced technology, she would definitely think that she had seen a ghost at this moment. Otherwise, how could two living people suddenly disappear? However, Xia Shui knew that this must be Sun Sikong picking up Yang Ming and Lan Ling, so she was just surprised. She wasn't too surprised. Chapter 2197. In the next moment, Yang Ming and Lan Ling appeared in the flying saucer. The space of the flying saucer was very small. This was just a small flying saucer. Yang Ming looked at it. This flying saucer could only seat 4 people at most. It couldn't accommodate more people. This was essentially different from those big spaceships that could easily destroy buildings in science fiction movies. It was estimated that this could only be regarded as a spaceship. However, before Yang Ming could take the next step to study it carefully, a white light flashed in front of him again. Yang Ming and Lan Ling appeared in front of the cave, and the flying saucer was hovering directly above their heads. It didn't take long for it to land quietly in the open space not far from Yang Ming. The whole process was completed in an instant, and there was no trace of noise. If Yang Ming didn't personally experience this magical scene, he would probably think that the flying saucer was originally parked there and had never moved at all. However, Yang Ming really felt the feeling of being quickly transmitted. If Yang Ming wasn't awake at the moment, he would even think that he was dreaming. However, Yang Ming didn't have the mood to study the flying saucer. He didn't forget the purpose of coming here, which was to answer the phone. Yang Ming took Lan Ling and quickly walked in the direction of the cave. Sun Sikong was already standing at the entrance of the cave at this moment to welcome Yang Ming and Lan Ling. Yang Ming, the phone is coming. You go and answer it, said Sun Sikong. Okay. Yang Ming no longer hesitated. He quickly walked into the cave and grabbed the phone. Hello, Grandma Lan. Yang Ming, calling you so late at night. Did I disturb your rest with Ling Ling? Grandma Lan's voice came from the phone. No, but if I found a way to deal with Elder Yu, even if I disturbed your rest, it was worth it, said Yang Ming with a smile. It's urgent. I finally managed to contact your Grandpa Lan. He may have a way to deal with Elder Yu, but he is now avoiding Elder Yu's eyes and ears. Time is limited. He only has time now. I'll let him call you now, said Grandma Lan. All right. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. It turned out that Grandpa Lan had thought of a solution. Of course, Yang Ming also knew that Elder Yu had never given up on searching for Lan Hai in order to achieve his goal of controlling Lan Miao Village. He wanted to kill Lan Hai. This way, if Lan Hai died, according to the rules of Lan Miao Village's ancestors, he, Elder Yu, could smoothly take over the position of Lan Miao Village's chief. This way, he could achieve his goal of controlling Lan Miao Village without shedding a single drop of blood. However, Lan Hai had been hiding all these years, making Elder Yu unable to make a move. Thus, Elder Yu became crazy and started refining Jin Gang Gu, wanting to use force to control Lan Miao Village. As for Lan Hai, although he was knowledgeable, Lan Miao Village had always advocated peace. Hence, Lan Hai did not learn those deadly voodoo poisons. Hence, even though he was more knowledgeable than Elder Yu, he was not Elder Yu's match. It was also because Lan Hai had not died that Elder Yu could not take over Lan Miao Village. Instead, Lan Ling's grandmother controlled Lan Miao Village and made them enemies. After Grandma Lan finished speaking, she hung up the phone. Not long after, the phone rang again. Yang Ming quickly picked up the phone. Yang Ming, I'm your Grandpa Ma. On the other side of the phone, there was a voice of an old man. Grandpa Ma. Yang Ming was stunned. Wasn't it Grandpa Lan who called me? How did it become Grandpa Ma? However, Yang Ming immediately reacted. Grandpa Ma, isn't that Grandpa Lan? Ma Xiaoyao was Lan Hai's alias. In order to avoid Elder Yu's pursuit, Lan Hai changed his name to Ma Xiaoyao. He had been a guard in Yang Ming's high school. Why? Don't you recognize your Grandpa Ma? Lan Hai laughed. I recognize you. How can I not recognize you? It's just that you suddenly said Grandpa Ma. I didn't react for a while. Previously, Grandma Lan said Grandpa Lan. Yang Ming said with a bitter smile. I was thinking that you would be more familiar with me if I said Grandpa Ma. Lan Hai said, no matter what Grandpa, it is still me. Your Grandma Lan also told me about your matter. I helped you think of a way, but whether it can be done or not, it still depends on you. Oh, what is the way? Yang Ming was delighted and asked quickly. As long as there was a way, there was hope. Yang Ming was afraid that there was no way. Now, Yang Ming himself could be said to have no way at all. Jin Gang Voodoo, invulnerable to weapons and water, and it was strengthened and improved by Elder Yu. it became even more abnormal. This voodoo can not only strengthen a body, but can also be immune to general poisons and voodoo, but it can't be immune to high-level voodoo. As Lanhai said this, he paused slightly and continued. Yang Ming, you should understand what I mean, right? Grandpa Lan, do you mean that you want to put voodoo on Elder You? Yang Ming wasn't stupid. He immediately understood Grandpa Lan's meaning. Yes, although Herculean voodoo is the only nemesis of Jin Gang voodoo, it doesn't mean that you can't kill Elder You with other methods. Lan Hai said, I listened to your Grandma Lan's meaning. You are now walking into a dead end. You are a bit of a dead end. Every day, you think about how to deal with Elder You's Jin Gang voodoo. But if you think about it from another perspective, Elder You is also a person. Jin Gang voodoo is just a means of self-defense. But if you can't use force, you can use soft methods. You can use poison to fight poison. You can use voodoo to end him. Voodoo. But Elder You himself is a master of voodoo. If we put voodoo on him, let's not talk about whether there is a chance. Even if there is a chance, he should be aware of it, right? Said Yang Ming. Some voodoo is in the form of bacteria. Elder You can naturally feel it. For example, the Herculean voodoo and Jin Gang voodoo that you took. These are voodoo cultivated in the form of bacteria. Lan Hai said, this kind of voodoo is very sensitive to us. As long as someone puts voodoo, we can feel it almost instantly. But there's another kind of voodoo that exists in the form of voodoo worms. If you can let Elder You take this voodoo without anyone noticing, then you are done. Then what kind of voodoo are there? What is it that Jin Gang voodoo can't be immune to and Elder You can't detect it? Yang Ming asked with a wry smile. Although Lan Hai's method seemed feasible, in fact, it was extremely difficult to operate. First of all, this kind of voodoo was very difficult to cultivate and refine in this environment. Second, how to give it to Elder You. Lie to him and say that this is Jin Gang voodoo. Chapter 2198. Elder You is not a fool. He could definitely distinguish whether it was the Jin Gang goo or not, and whether there was a problem. Unless he was a fool, he would simply eat something given to him. This, Lan Hai frowned and said, this kind of goo poison is very rare. In my memory, there is only one kind of goo poison called quick cicada goo. It is of this type, but this quick cicada goo is extremely difficult to refine. It almost no longer exists, and a refining method is also lost. What? Quick cicada goo? Yang Ming was a little surprised and almost screamed. Why? Have you heard of quick cicada goo? Lan Hai heard Yang Ming scream and couldn't help but be stunned. Of course, I have heard of it. It is the kind of goo poison that can turn people into idiots, right? Asked Yang Ming. Yes, the adult quick cicada goo, as long as you swallow it, you can instantly lose your memory and become exactly like an idiot. Lan Hai said, but from the quick cicada goo to the adult quick cicada goo, it takes a very long process. It takes 10 to 20 years. So even if you find the refining method of quick cicada goo, you have to make long-term preparations. You have to wait for the quick cicada goo to take effect before you can completely defeat Elder You. So, I don't recommend using quick cicada goo. You can research with Lan Ling to see if there are other goo poisons that can replace this quick cicada goo. There's no need to replace. It is the quick cicada goo. Yang Ming listened to Lan Hai's words and had a feeling of light at the end of the tunnel. Indeed, he and the others had fallen into a misunderstanding before. They could obviously use other ways to deal with Elder You, but they didn't think of it. Instead, they put their attention on dealing with Jin Gang goo, which led to the result of repeated defeats. If he could consult Lan Hai one step earlier, maybe it would not be so troublesome. You have the refining method of quick cicada goo? Yang Ming's affirmative answer made Lan Hai stunned. He didn't understand why Yang Ming was so sure to defeat Elder You with the method of quick cicada goo. No, Yang Ming said affirmatively. No. Then why did you choose quick cicada goo? Lan Hai was even more inexplicable. However, although I don't have the refining method of quick cicada goo, I have an adult quick cicada goo in my hands. As Yang Ming said this, he had a funny feeling. This quick cicada goo was given to Lin Dongfang by Elder Yu. It had been nurtured in Lin Dongfang's body for so many years. After Lan Hai heard Yang Ming's words, he was even more surprised. He found it strange that Yang Ming had the quick cicada goo, especially the adult quick cicada goo. Lan Hai felt even more incredulous. Why did Yang Ming and others make an adult quick cicada goo? This is the case. As Yang Ming said this, he told Lan Hai about the origin of quick cicada goo. Of course, he ignored that Yang Ming took out the quick cicada goo from Lin Dongfang's body with the X-ray vision. Instead, he pushed it to Lan Ling's sixth sense, saying that he took out the quick cicada goo with Lan Ling's help. This was not that Yang Ming intended to hide the matter of the X-ray vision glasses from Lan Hai. But now, this X-ray vision glasses were not only Yang Ming's matter. Since Yang Ming met Sun Sikong again, this pair of glasses had become his and Sun Sikong's secret. Without Sun Sikong's permission, Yang Ming would not reveal the secret of the glasses to others. After Lan Hai heard Yang Ming's explanation, he was so surprised that he couldn't speak for a long time. It was hard for him to imagine that this quick cicada goo was actually given to Yang Ming and others by Elder Yu. Elder Yu probably wouldn't have thought that Yang Ming took out the quick cicada goo in such a way. Moreover, he didn't know that Yang Ming was preparing to use the quick cicada goo to deal with Elder Yu. Isn't it a bit dramatic? Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "In fact, when I heard you say that the quick cicada goo can be used, I also felt that it was a bit dramatic. Okay, but you must be careful not to let Elder Yu notice. Since this quick cicada goo was given to Lin Dongfang by Elder Yu, then he should be very familiar with the quick cicada goo. Don't let him notice it," Lan Hai reminded. "This shouldn't be the case." Yang Ming said, "The quick cicada goo in Lin Dongfang's body has been taken out by me for a long time, but when Lin Dongfang and Elder Yu were fighting, Elder Yu never mentioned this matter. I am afraid that Elder Yu himself doesn't know much about the quick cicada goo, so he shouldn't be able to sense the quick cicada goo." Oh, Lan Hai was slightly stunned. If this is the case, then it is simply great. Moreover, Elder Yu also said before that this quick cicada goo was not refined by him, but obtained from somewhere else. He could put the goo, but he can't detoxify the goo. This proves that he doesn't understand this quick cicada goo. Otherwise, he would have already detoxified the goo in Lin Dongfang's body. Yang Ming said, "After all, Lin Dongfang is the main force helping him to study the Jin Gang goo. If he could detoxify this goo, he will definitely not let Lin Dongfang become an idiot before the Jin Gang goo is developed." This is true. According to what you said, it is very reasonable. Lan Hai nodded and said, "Then you can try it, but as for the method of putting the goo, you have to study it yourself and find the right opportunity. We will be careful. Thank you, Grandpa Lan, for reminding us." Yang Ming was very happy in his heart. Today, after listening to Grandpa Lan's words, he solved his doubts for the past few days. These days, his heart that had not relaxed was finally put down. "What are you thanking me for?" Lan Hai said. "If you can really kill Elder Yu, you are the benefactor of our Lan Yao village. I have to thank you on behalf of Lan Yao village." "Well, then I won't say thank you. Grandpa Lan, with my relationship with Lan Ling, you don't have to say that. Helping you is helping myself. We are all family. There's no need to be so polite," said Yang Ming. "I like to hear this." "Well, I won't disturb your rest," said Lan Hai. "Wait, let Ling Ling talk to you." "Ling Ling hasn't talked to you for a long time," said Yang Ming quickly. "Lan Ling is next to you? That's great." Lan Hai didn't expect Lan Ling to be next to Yang Ming. Grandma Lan didn't say these. Lan Hai thought that Yang Ming was alone here. Yang Ming gave the phone to Lan Ling. Lan Ling was also a little excited. After all, she hadn't contacted Lan Hai for a long time. She picked up the phone and called Grandpa. Chapter 2199. It's me. Ling Ling, how are you recently? Lan Hai and Lan Ling chatted, and Yang Ming did not disturb them. He just sat quietly and waited Lan Ling and Lan Hai chatted and forgot the time. They chatted for more than half an hour before Lan Ling reacted. She quickly said goodbye to her grandfather and hung up the phone. She stuck out her tongue at Yang Ming embarrassedly and said, "I'm sorry. I suddenly forgot the time. I haven't talked to Grandpa for a long time. I was a little excited. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's midnight now. Elder Yu's people can't come to check at this time. No one will find us. It doesn't matter if we talk for a while," Yang Ming said with a smile. Moreover, they disappeared directly in the room. Elder Yu wouldn't know even if he was exhausted, unless he sent someone to open the door and enter Yang Ming's room to check. However, that was obviously impossible. As for the moment when Yang Ming disappeared and the moment when he reappeared, Yang Ming also observed it. This white light only appeared around him and Lan Ling. In other words, it only appeared before they entered the flying saucer in the room and before they exited the flying saucer and arrived at the cave entrance. At other times, it did not appear. The flying saucer itself did not emit any light, so it was impossible to be detected. This is also true. However, we should go back and rest. Lan Ling nodded and said, "Yeah, I finally found a way to deal with Elder Yu. It really makes me relieved. It turns out to be so simple. We went in the wrong direction before," Yang Ming said with emotion. "Indeed, we always wanted to deal with Elder Yu's Jin Gang Gu, but we neglected to bypass his Jin Gang Gu. We can also use many other ways to kill him," Lan Ling also said with emotion. "It's all thanks to Grandpa Lan." Yang Ming and Lan Ling walked out of the cave, and the flying saucer, not far away, suddenly activated. It appeared above Yang Ming and Lan Ling without any warning. There was no sound at all, as if it appeared out of thin air. The next moment, a white light flashed in front of Yang Ming and Lan Ling's eyes, and they entered the flying saucer. Not long after, the two of them reappeared in the villa's room. The sudden appearance of these two people gave Xia Shui a big fright. After Yang Ming and Lan Ling left, Xia Shui naturally wasn't in the mood to sleep. Therefore, Xia Shui sat on the bed and waited for Yang Ming and Lan Ling to return. In the end, there was no one in front of Xia Shui, but in the blink of an eye, two people appeared out of thin air. Yeah, Xia Shui was shocked, but after seeing that the people in front of her were Lan Ling and Yang Ming, she was relieved. "You are back. So fast." "And I'm back." Yang Ming nodded. His eyes were full of spirit, and he didn't feel sleepy at all. "Looking at your appearance, it seems that you have found a solution." Xia Shui was worthy of being an investigator. From Yang Ming's expression, she could see some clues. He guessed right. It is indeed a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. "I've finally found a new way to deal with Elder Yu." Yang Ming nodded and said, "Oh, what is it?" Xia Shui was interested when she heard it and asked curiously, "Wait a minute. I will gather everyone first, then we'll talk about it," said Yang Ming. He couldn't wait to share this good news with everyone. After all, everyone had been troubled by this problem for a long time. Although they seemed to be very happy every day and had nothing to do, in everyone's heart, they all wanted to kill Elder Yu as soon as possible and end this dangerous mission. "Okay, then let's call everyone." Xia Shui nodded and said. Yang Ming picked up the phone on the bedside and pressed the conference call mode. This was the internal phone in the villa. Although it couldn't connect to the outside line, it could be used as a tool for Yang Ming and others to contact each other internally. It also had the function of a conference call. After a short while, the phone call was answered. On the phone, there was a sleepy voice from everyone. "Hello, I am Yang Ming. There is news. Everyone, come to my room immediately and discuss important matters together," said Yang Ming. Everyone suddenly woke up. After hearing Yang Ming's words, they immediately said that they would go to Yang Ming's room immediately. However, Yang Ming reminded, "Susu and Yi don't need to come. They are pregnant. Let them rest." "It's okay. I want to go too." On the other side of the phone, there was Xiao Susu's somewhat impatient voice. Since Xiao Susu insisted, Yang Ming naturally wouldn't forcibly stop her. After all, Xiao Susu was also a member of this action team. So, in her heart, completing the mission was also the first priority. Even if she was pregnant, it wouldn't affect her enthusiasm for completing the mission. Well, then I will wait for you in the room. Yang Ming nodded and said. Not long after, Lu Yezi, Feng Tianlong, Lin Dongfang, Lu Qianqi, Chun Xiaojing, and Xiao Susu all appeared in Yang Ming's villa one by one. Even Yi came. It seemed that Yi was also very concerned about dealing with Elder Yu. I didn't expect everyone to come so quickly. Yang Ming was surprised. Now, everyone is most concerned about this matter. When you said it, everyone was excited. How could they not come quickly? Lin Dongfang said with a wry smile. Yang Ming, tell us, what is the new news? We can't wait. Yeah, bro. Is there a new way to deal with Elder Yu's variant Jin Gang voodoo? Lu Yezi also asked anxiously. There is no way. After Yang Ming and Lu Yezi finished speaking, they shook their heads and replied, after Elder Yu's modified version of Jin Gang voodoo, we don't have any way to deal with it. Then you. Lin Dongfang listened to Yang Ming's words and suddenly had some doubts. He didn't know what Yang Ming meant. Actually, everyone is on the wrong track. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, our previous thoughts were the same as Lu Yezi's. We were all on how to deal with Elder Yu's Jin Gang voodoo. But have you ever thought about why we have to deal with Elder Yu's Jin Gang voodoo? Oh, everyone was slightly taken aback after listening to Yang Ming's words. But everyone was not stupid. Immediately, everyone showed a thoughtful expression on their faces. Yeah, why do we have to be entangled with Elder Yu's Jin Gang voodoo? Lu Yezi nodded and said, there's a saying that all roads lead to Rome. As long as we can kill Elder Yu, it's fine. Whether we can restrain his Jin Gang voodoo or not is completely meaningless. What we want is the final result, not the process. Chapter 2200. That's right. We just need to find a way to kill Elder Yu. As for the Jin Gang voodoo, who cares about it? Yang Ming said with satisfaction, Yi Zi is right. That's what I want to say. Then, how do we kill Elder Yu? Lu Qianqi asked. Now that Elder Yu is invulnerable, it is extremely difficult to kill him. We must break his Jin Gang voodoo to hurt him, right? That's not necessary. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, Lan Ling's grandfather gave me a method, and that is to use voodoo. Voodoo? Everyone raised their heads in surprise and looked at Yang Ming, feeling a little incredulous. Lu Tianqi said, isn't Elder Yu proficient in voodoo? If we use voodoo on him, won't he notice it? How can we do this? Quick, cicada, voodoo. Yang Ming said word by word. Quick cicada voodoo? After everyone heard Yang Ming's words, they showed surprise and disbelief, especially Lin Dongfang, whose expression was even more strange. That's right, it's the quick cicada voodoo. Yang Ming nodded and said, the quick cicada voodoo is a high-level voodoo. Even Elder Yu himself knows little about it. If not, he should be able to get rid of the quick cicada voodoo in Brother Lin's body, but he doesn't have this ability. Moreover, the quick cicada voodoo in Brother Lin's body has already been taken out by me, but Elder Yu didn't raise any questions after several exchanges. That is to say, he doesn't know that the quick cicada voodoo in Brother Lin's body has been taken out. What you said makes sense. Lin Dongfang nodded and said, if he really knew, then with Elder Yu's cautious character, I'm afraid he would have suspected it long ago. It is impossible for him not to ask me, but he didn't ask, which means that he really didn't notice that the quick cicada voodoo in my body has been removed. That's great, Lu Yezi said excitedly. That is to say, if we give the quick cicada voodoo to Elder Yu, we will be fine. Yi Zi, don't celebrate too early. Yang Ming shook his head and said, giving Elder Yu the quick cicada goo is easy to say, but how difficult is it to do? Elder Yu is not a fool. He's waiting for us to implant the goo in him, but we can't find a chance to do so now. You're right. Lan Ling also nodded and said, the quick cicada goo must be consumed for it to be effective. Can Elder Yu consume this quick cicada goo? At least, I think he won't take it when he's conscious. Even if you lie to him that this is the Jin Gang goo, he has to believe it. That's true. Lu Yezi's excitement was suddenly extinguished by Yang Ming and Lan Ling. He shut his mouth gloomily. This is indeed a difficult problem. Lin Dongfang also frowned and said, "Back then, when Elder Yu gave me the goo, he forced me to take it, but the same method can't be used on Elder Yu. However, you can think about it. Once we succeed, Elder Yu will become an idiot," Yang Ming said, "and he won't be able to solve it." Won't be able to solve it. Lin Dongfang was slightly stunned. Then he thought of something and nodded with a smirk. "That's right. I could use a needle to remove the goo, but when it came to Elder Yu, he was completely invulnerable. It was impossible to stab him. In this way, Elder Yu will never be able to remove the quick cicada goo unless his body is hollowed out from his mouth. Then he will die." Ha ha ha. After Lu Yezi, Lu Tianqi, Feng Tianlong, and others heard this, they were also amused and suddenly laughed. After laughing, everyone returned to calmness. Although they thought that after Elder Yu was poisoned with the quick cicada goo, if he knew that he was poisoned with the quick cicada goo and there was no cure, their expressions would be very interesting. However, everyone knew that Elder Yu couldn't wait for this moment. This was because the quick cicada goo had become a mature quick cicada goo. As long as it was swallowed by Elder Yu, it would immediately take effect, turning Elder Yu into an idiot with no memory. At that time, not to mention removing the quick cicada goo, he wouldn't even know what kind of goo he was poisoned with. However, all of this was based on the situation that the quick cicada goo was successfully swallowed by Elder Yu. But if everyone didn't find a way to make Elder Yu swallow the quick cicada goo, then everything was just a fantasy. Today, let's call it a day. Everyone go back and rest. Think about it, and see if there are other ways to put the goo on Elder Yu. If there are, we could discuss it again. At least now we can't think of any good ideas, so it's useless to sit here," said Yang Ming. Everyone nodded. If Yang Ming didn't say it, everyone wouldn't feel sleepy. They were all thinking about Elder Yu's problem. But when Yang Ming said it, everyone was tired. They stood up and prepared to leave. Time always slipped away inadvertently. A few days passed in a flash, but everyone still didn't have a good way to put the goo on Elder Yu. Even Lan Ling, who was proficient in voodoo, had no way to put the goo on Elder Yu. At least, under Elder Yu's vigilance, it was impossible to do this. Everyone was the key target of Elder Yu's vigilance, so it was really difficult to do this. A few days had passed. Everyone had long lost the joy they had when they heard that they could use the quick cicada goo to deal with Elder Yu. Now everyone's faces were sad. They didn't know what to do. Perhaps the most painful thing was this. There was a way, but there was no way to use this method. During this period, Elder Yu also sent someone to come once. In addition to giving Yang Ming and the others some essential daily supplies, he didn't say much and left again. Yang Ming and the others didn't dare to try it. They pretended the quick cicada goo to be Jinggang goo and deceived Elder Yu to take it. As long as Elder Yu wasn't retarded, then he could definitely distinguish the difference between the two. Songjiang City, Huashan District, Yang Ming's villa. Originally, Zhou Jia and Xiaoqing thought that it shouldn't be difficult to help Dong Jun investigate a phone number. With their computer knowledge and ability, it wasn't easy to do this, but it was definitely possible. However, after they investigated for 3 days, they were a little bit scared. This was because this number was all anonymous. They couldn't find out where it was transferred through. This made Zhou Jia and Xiaoqing feel strange. They also sighed. There was actually a problem that they couldn't solve. Chapter 22:01. It seemed that the complexity of Yang Ming's phone call was not something that could be achieved by ordinary people. Perhaps Yang Ming wanted to keep it a secret, or perhaps this phone call itself was confidential. In any case, Zhou Jia and Xiaoqing had to give up after investigating for 2 days. When Dong Jun learned of this result, he couldn't help but be very disappointed. If he couldn't establish a connection with Yang Ming, it was likely that he would reveal a flaw when he went to Miaojiang, and Elder Yu would discover the problem. If it was announced and Dr. Benjamin knew about it, he would be in danger. However, even if he couldn't contact Yang Ming, Dong Jun had to leave because Dr. Benjamin had asked him to go Miaojiang to investigate whether Yang Ming had special abilities. The best person to ask was Elder Yu. Only Elder Yu and Yang Ming had fought for a long time, so the one who knew Yang Ming the best was Elder Yu. In any case, Dong Jun embarked on his trip to Miaojiang with a hint of anxiety. After Elder Yu learned the news, he was naturally very excited. In front of his subordinates, he was the most powerful existence, but he couldn't show off to them. After all, in front of his subordinates, no matter what, these subordinates would blindly praise him, making Elder Yu lose the sense of authenticity and novelty. Only the praise of other people who had no relationship with him would make Elder Yu very happy. This person was Dong Jun, his former collaborator, and now the person Elder Yu wanted to see the most. He hoped that he could show off his ability in front of Dong Jun. Therefore, Elder Yu was ready to welcome Dong Jun's arrival. In the Medicine Valley, Yang Ming was so worried that his hair was about to turn white. There was a way to deal with Elder Yu, but there was no chance to implement it. This was undoubtedly a very painful thing. He could obviously deal with Elder Yu, but he couldn't do it. This made Yang Ming a little crazy. Elder Yu was an expert in voodoo, so it was impossible for Yang Ming to treat the quick cicada goo as other voodoo to deceive Elder Yu. Moreover, even if the quick cicada goo was mixed with the Jin Gang goo for Elder Yu to consume, Elder Yu would definitely not consume it so easily. After all, Elder Yu was on guard against Yang Ming and others. He would definitely take away the initial stage of Jin Gang voodoo that was refined. He would take it back and slowly observe and cultivate it. After confirming that there was no problem, he would consume it. Directly consuming it here, unless Elder Yu was stupid, it was impossible to do such a brainless thing. Of course, if Elder Yu was really so stupid, Yang Ming would not even use the quick cicada goo. He would directly use the Herculean strength goo to disguise it as the quick cicada goo and feed it to Elder Yu. Then, without the nutrient solution, Elder Yu would be powerless and collapse by himself. However, this was just a fantasy. Everyone, let's brainstorm and see if there is any good way. Yang Ming said to everyone with a sad face. AI, bro, let's not discuss this kind of problem. If there was a way, everyone would have already said it. How could we wait until now? Lu Yezi said with a wry smile. But I have a way, but it's a little risky. Lin Dongfang suddenly suggested. Oh, what is it? Yang Ming asked quickly. As far as I know, your glasses have an illusion function that can change your face into other appearances, said Lin Dongfang. Yes, there is such a function. Yang Ming nodded. Yang Ming had already explained the matter of the glasses to Lin Dongfang and the others. As for the matter of the big star Suya, he also got the answer from Sun Sikong. It could be said that these people all knew about Yang Ming's secret. If we can take down Elder Yu's confidant the next time he sends us living supplies, then you can disguise yourself as Elder Yu's subordinate, return to Elder Yu's place, and secretly put the quick cicada goo in Elder Yu's food. Can you complete the voodoo? Lin Dongfang said. You have X-ray vision, you can clearly see the path of the helicopter, and you can also easily find the location of the right elder. And because you are his trusted subordinate, he will not be on guard against you. In this way, when he is not on guard and swallows the fast cicada goo, wouldn't he be an idiot? Yes, this is a good idea. Yang Ming's eyes lit up, and he suddenly exclaimed while slapping his thigh. How could he have forgotten this? I can transform into anyone's appearance. When the time comes, I can transform into the appearance of Elder Yu's subordinate, and then secretly put the voodoo on him. Elder Yu can basically die without anyone knowing. Impossible. When everyone was excited, Lan Ling poured cold water on everyone's head and flatly rejected Lin Dongfang's proposal. Oh, why is it impossible? Yang Ming was stunned and asked. The others also looked at Lan Ling. This method was the only way everyone could think of, but Lan Ling said that it was impossible. This made everyone's excitement suddenly fall to the bottom. It was really bitter. Although they still hoped that Lan Ling could find some solutions, they also knew that when it came to voodoo, no one was better than Lan Ling. Because every confidant of Elder Yu will be poisoned with a harmless voodoo. This voodoo is similar to a kind of aura, which can let Elder Yu feel it at the first moment. If it is not his confidant, he can also distinguish it at the first moment. This is also to prevent spies from sneaking in or enemies secretly invading. Lan Ling explained. Although Yang Ming can imitate his subordinates perfectly, Elder Yu doesn't even need to look at his appearance. He can distinguish that he's not Elder Yu's subordinate just by looking at the aura. This kind of aura can be imitated? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. He didn't expect there to be such a situation. This kind of harmless voodoo is similar to the aura voodoo. When it's cultivated, it adds the aura according to one's will. In our Blue Meow village, there's also such a voodoo. It's like the relationship between the key and the lock. It can also be understood as a kind of password. Only the person who put the voodoo will know. We can't get any information from his subordinates. If it can be imitated, then Blue Meow village or Elder Yu subordinates would already be full of spies. Lan Ling shook her head and said, "It turns out to be like this. It seems that it won't work." Yang Ming sighed disappointedly. Fortunately, Lan Ling is here. Otherwise, if Yang Ming really followed this method, I'm afraid it would be dangerous. Lin Dongfang smiled bitterly. God knows how Elder Yu will treat Yang Ming. Chapter 2202. Maybe he would quietly give the quick cicada voodoo to Yang Ming. At that time, Yang Ming really wanted to cry, but had no tears. He couldn't even solve it. Although the nutrients secreted by the quick cicada voodoo could be used as nourishment for the Herculean voodoo, similarly, the quick cicada voodoo could also cause the whole person to become demented. Yang Ming didn't dare to try this kind of horrible thing. It seems that I still have to think of another way. Yang Ming was somewhat helpless. Even if he was full of confidence and was a very determined person, at this moment, he couldn't help but be shaken. Yes, this was the first big trouble, or rather, the biggest obstacle, the biggest enemy he had encountered since he became stronger and walked step by step toward success. Even if Yang Ming was not discouraged or complained, this kind of repeated failure was also a devastating blow to a person's confidence. The days passed in an ordinary way. The people in the Medicine Valley had nothing to do except eat, drink, and play every day. Of course, the only thing everyone could do was to find inspiration in eating, drinking, and playing. After all, to think of a way to deal with Elder Yu is not something that everyone could think of while sitting there. This kind of inspiration was sometimes a flash of brilliance, so no matter what everyone did, it was possible to think of a good way in an instant. It was just that this process was a bit long. Of course, what Yang Ming didn't know was that Dong Jun had arrived in Miaojiang. Elder Yu personally sent someone to pick up Dong Jun. Huh, Falcon, long time no see. We parted in Songjiang City, and now we meet again. How have you been? Elder Yu was obviously very excited when he saw Dong Jun. He laughed and greeted him personally. Elder Yu, I have no choice. You know, I'm not alone. Behind me there is... As Dong Jun spoke, he mysteriously pointed in the direction of the sky and said, "So, I came here under the orders of the higher-ups. Haha. That is, of course, behind you, Brother Falcon. There's a great force behind you." Elder Yu also knew a thing or two about Dong Jun's background. Otherwise, if Dong Jun was just Yang Ming's senior brother and an ordinary disciple of the King of Assassins, Elder Yu wouldn't value him so much, let alone cooperate with him. This time, I'm here. Dong Jun looked around and then closed his mouth. All of you can leave. Brother Falcon and I will drink and chat here. We don't need you. Elder Yu waved to his subordinates, indicating that they could leave. Elder Yu knew that Dong Jun must have something secret to tell him, so he was naturally very cooperative. When these people left, Elder Yu invited Dong Jun into the inner room. In the room, a banquet was already set up. All kinds of sumptuous dishes were placed on the table. Obviously, Elder Yu was very enthusiastic and welcomed Dong Jun's arrival. Brother Falcon, please take a seat. Elder Yu made an inviting gesture. Dong Jun nodded and sat in the guest seat, while Elder Yu sat in the host seat. Elder Yu has prepared such a sumptuous banquet, which makes me very scared. It seems that Elder Yu gives me a lot of face. said Dong Jun. Hee hee, I'm afraid this small gesture won't be enough in Brother Falcon's eyes, right? Elder Yu smiled slightly. You, and I don't have to be polite. We are also strategic partners. We have dealt with Yang Ming together. Now it's just the two of us. Let's be more casual. Haha, then I'll do as you say. Dong Jun also nodded with a smile. Brother Falcon, now, can you tell me the purpose of you coming here? Elder Yu was very curious, to be honest. He originally thought that Dong Jun just accepted his invitation and came here to play, but it wasn't so after thinking about it. He knew Dong Jun's identity. If there was nothing special, how could the forces behind him allow him to come here casually? Therefore, there must be something going on in this operation. Elder Yu, forgive me for being blunt. When you were fighting with Yang Ming, did you find any strange abilities of Yang Ming? Asked Dong Jun. Strange abilities? Elder Yu frowned. When Dong Jun called before, he had hinted and asked a similar question. At this time, he raised it again. It was definitely not an aimless question. There must be some meaning behind it. However, Elder Yu did not find any strange abilities of Yang Ming. So he said, Brother Falcon, which aspect are you referring to? To put it bluntly, it's a special ability. Dong Jun said, does Yang Ming have a similar ability? For example, something that can't be explained? This, I really didn't notice it. Elder Yu said in confusion. Brother Falcon, just tell me the truth. What's going on? You're making me confused. AI, this is actually a mission given to me by my boss. He asked me to come and pretend to contact Yang Ming and find out if there is anything special or special abilities on him. To be honest, I don't have any news, so I asked you about it. Dong Jun said with a bitter smile. Otherwise, do you think I can come here casually? This is true. However, didn't Yang Ming already know that you and he are not on the same side? Moreover, he also knows that you are the person who has repeatedly harmed him. How do you still contact him? Elder Yu asked, baffled. This is what I am worried about. Dong Jun sighed and said, Yang Ming guessed it, but my boss didn't know that Yang Ming had already guessed it. He even asked me to contact Yang Ming. If I were to tell the truth, Yang Ming would have already guessed that I am the mastermind behind dealing with him. How would I have the chance to visit you, Elder Yu? Then, I would definitely be transferred back to the headquarters. I wouldn't be able to come here to witness your power. This is true. Elder Yu listened to Dong Jun's flattery and was overjoyed. Brother, I am really happy. You even hid it from your boss for my invitation. I am really touched. AI, don't say this. If it were someone else, I wouldn't have come, but we are all old friends. We are dealing with Yang Ming's people together. How can I not give face? Dong Jun said generously. Haha, you're right. Elder Yu nodded and happily picked up the wine glass. He said, Come, Brother Falcon, let me toast you. Okay. Dong Jun nodded and immediately picked up the wine glass. He raised it and drank it. Forthright. After Elder Yu also drank it in one gulp, he gave Dong Jun a thumbs up and praised him. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.